Shifty. All right, but first of all, we need to talk about the fact that you won't eat cold steak. Is it because you're secretly a woman, or is it because you don't like steak, or is it because you don't like cold steak? Because you didn't even want to eat any steak after I cooked it. So I'm thinking you just didn't want steak.
I was full when you made that steak yesterday or whatever.
No, I'm talking about right now. Right now, when I was reheating the steak, you wouldn't eat, but you didn't want to eat any hot steak either. Heated steak. But I offered you some cold steak. I told you this is gonna be the first thing we're gonna talk about because it was so good. It was so delicious, even cold. If you were hungry, would you eat cold steak, or is it just because you weren't hungry?
I'm just not hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Let's just put it at that, you know?
But you'll eat cold pizza?
Yeah. I'll eat cold pizza. The thing is that I wasn't planning on eating steak, so I didn't want to make it a big deal, basically. But on to more current event matters.
What about this room, dude? You got this thing all set up, dude. How's that feel? You got that? Dude. Can you see the flag in the view? Do you have multiple angles, or is it just the one angle?
You go like this angle, your angle, and then
you got
the GoPro's going. Yeah, so these are the
crop in?
Yeah. I mean, excuse me. The GoPro's quality when it's narrowed down, when you zoom it in, it's not that great. It's really not that great, but
can't crop in.
Honestly, when you're getting started doing this shit, you kind of need to get what you can. And I've been delaying this for the longest time just because I'm thinking, well, once I get to this piece or I do a couple more videos doing something else, I can really hone in on that. But, dude, the whole reason I started this show was to do podcasts. I love this shit. I love just talking about shit. Not like trying to report an idea fully, which is
just being able to express yourself genuinely. Is nice.
Yeah, and making videos is cool, but it's just a part of you. It's a piece, an idea you have, rather than having a podcast where there's an exchange of ideas of like challenging it and thinking about it, you know. Because I watch a lot of like shows on YouTube and shit, and especially political ones where they tell you exactly what the point is. Where I'm like, man, you're really confident on that in that issue, you know, like
not leaving any room for growth or for like your own interpretation of it.
Growth, and it's up to the eyes of the beholder when it comes to that. Like, what is good for the country versus what's good for the individual is like everybody views it differently. But just to have a clear opinion about something, I have a hard time with that because I've changed my mind all the time, you know? And I don't know, I guess I'm not good at committing to one thing and then deciding that this is the thing I
as far as entertainment you're watching?
I guess.
Yeah, what have you been watching lately? What's your go-to?
Like, what do you mean for
just whatever? Like what's the thing that you like when you type in on your phone or on your YouTube or whatever? Like what's your thing that you go look for when you're bored or whatever? What's the first thing that popped into your head when I say, what are you watching right now? Is it
I've been watching
Trevor Noah?
MMA.
Is it MMA? Okay. So that's the thing.
I watch all sorts of shit. I watch the.
But that's the first thing that popped into your head.
I mean, that's the one that really
resonates.
Was the catalyst to this show was because
MMA?
No, the Joe Rogan Experience.
But you said MMA first. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get
said MMA because
that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, because that's the last thing I was watching.
So you're supposed to be an MMA fighter. How come you're not an MMA fighter right now?
Right. Yeah,
what's stopping you from becoming the MMA fighter that you're destined to be?
The last thing you watch is what you will become. Yeah, no, I'm not fucking doing that, dude.
Whatever popped in your head first. If it was gay porn, then you're supposed to be a gay porn star, Mario.
Wow, that was an option. I would have taken that option, and I knew that if that was the option I could have thrown in.
Just get your butt plugged.
You could just go to prison, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they'll do it for free.
That's true.
You know? It's like, hey, fool. And they're not even gay, you know?
Yeah. But they're like, that's going to be like no rules. You know, there's no rules. Like in porn, you get to be like cut. My butthole hurts a little bit.
The benefits versus the
versus jail.
Clearly,
there's no cut in jail.
Is not the shit. No, yeah, you don't want to go to jail. That's a joke. But you know,
I wonder if anybody has ever done that though. Like, not gone to jail to get butt fucked, but like, you know, been okay with doing something and going to jail and be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gay as fuck. I don't mind. It's whatever's. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if anybody has just kind of switched sides because they know that it would be easier. I'm sure lots of people have. I'm sure people have gone to prison or gone to jail. Probably prison. Probably not jail, but you know, if you're doing like a long sentence, I'm sure some people have been like, you know what's going to make this a lot easier? If I'm just okay with butt fucking. And then they just start flipping their shirt inside out. And being like,
that's such a
Susie.
Crazy idea. You just had that and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna share this. This is but I mean,
I'm just saying,
that is a real,
it's gotta be a thing that's
I guess
possible.
Yeah, in a way that is a possibility. I'm sure that was an intention. I mean,
sure hope not.
I mean, there's crazy people everywhere, dude. There probably be that one guy that's fucking, I'm just trying to go to prison again, you know, like whatever. But I think there's easier ways to go to prison than to do crazy shit, you know.
I'm
you
sure,
could just do something.
You gotta be doing something crazy.
You could, if you really want to stay in prison, you would probably stay in prison. If you want to go to prison, you probably stay in prison, because you don't know prison until you gone to prison. And once you got in prison, you're like, you miss it. It's easy to get back. You'll be like, hey, man, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is one of those places where it's probably easier to go. It's easier to go to prison than it is to Fiji, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't know.
Yeah.
So how come you got a hard-on for Joe Rogan? What's up with you and Joe Rogan?
Dude, I just like that podcast. I listen to so much podcast now. Like, I listen to the Fighter and the Kid.
What's that, Brian Callen and who else?
And Brian Callen and Brendan Shaw. They're funny too. Theo Von's podcast too. He's a fighter. He used to be a fighter. And Brendan Shaw. You know, he's doing comedy and shit. He's blowing up. I haven't heard his comedy, but I hear he does really comedy. Good. Yeah. Brendan Shaw. He's
a fighter that went. But Brian Callen has never been a fighter.
No, he's a comedian and
that
now
pretends he's a fighter.
He's a comedian and actor because he has a show right now on somewhere.
He's pretty swole though. He could probably fuck you
up. Brian Callen,
like he always jokes
any
like
of
that.
them probably, you know. I mean,
I don't know Brandon.
Joey Bravo.
Joey Bravo.
He is.
I've never seen him fight or anything, but I've seen him. He looks kind of silly in person.
Jiu-jitsu master, bro.
Yeah, he probably
like apparently Joe and him roll, and apparently he locks him up.
He teaches other people, doesn't he?
Yeah. Cool. So like he is kind of like he trains Joe, but they haven't rolled for a while because they got injured a bunch of times, and that's another practice jiu-jitsu.
Like dropped acid.
And because they injured their back and like joints and all this stuff, that's what keeps me away from jiu-jitsu. It's like I can't afford to get
you're
injured,
getting up there.
dude.
Yeah, well, I mean they're in their 50s, so I mean you can recover quicker. But also if you don't have health insurance,
exactly.
If you can't even afford health insurance, you can't afford to take off. Like these dudes, they could. I mean, you could roll Joe Rogan into his podcast and he'd be all right. You know, if he like even was paralyzed, like. Mm-hmm. Like, tell me about your day. Interviewing people.
Imagine that would suck, dude. What was his name?
Has anybody ever been paralyzed from being in UFC? Has anyone ever been like knocked out and paralyzed?
Oh, probably. I mean, those names, you know, come and go and shit. You know, there has been a case of somebody dying in the octagon.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, because apparently it's the weight cut. It's like not the fight itself that killed them. It's the weight cut.
It's dropping all that weight.
Yeah.
Or gaining weight.
Dropping weight. Because that's the only way it works. Is weight cuts is that you're like 150 pounder and you're making like a 15-pound weight cut or 20-pound weight cut, that's insane. The way in which they do that is they just fucking fast forever. You serious? You're gonna eat some shit while we're shooting right now? You fucking idiot.
So
you
their
would
weight
do
cut.
that. You would do that. This is terrible.
I don't give
you
a
can't
fuck.
Be eating.
It's my own rules, bro.
No,
This is my life.
No. This is just
Can't
a
pin me
test
down.
podcast. This doesn't count. You know, this is gonna be like hey, intro to like how the podcast might look like, because I look like a chump. So this doesn't count.
Everything counts, Mario.
It does.
Everything counts in life.
This one.
Every moment counts.
I look like a dummy.
What's been a big moment for you in your life that has like? Can you pin down a pivotal moment in your life that has been like, oh shit, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am right now. You know, whether it's good or bad. Like, what's a pivotal moment? What's the thing that pops in your head? First thing that you could think of that was like a big moment for you. And I don't mean like, oh, going to school or, oh, coming out to California. I mean like one moment, like, whew, I missed the bus. You know, like a bus almost hit me. Or, oh, fuck.
Well, it might have been
you got hit by a car. Yeah, that's
my
true.
accident. My accident is what
that was a big one.
You know.
Yeah, what happened with that?
Yeah, well, like let me tell this story, I guess. Is I was at an intersection at red arrow left turn. I was at a standstill, first car on that left turn, and there was incoming and going traffic both ways, and some kid, basically, he was a kid, was coming and swerved into my lane and hit me head on.
You were dead stop.
And I was dead stop.
Were you on your phone?
No.
Your hands were on the wheel?
Saw him swerve, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I saw him coming, like, and not getting back on the road.
Yeah.
And I saw him coming. I started honking. I was like,
"Oh,
holy
really?
shit!" And it was just too late by then. And then fucking hit me. I just braced. I don't know if I had my hand still on the honk, or if I braced myself. I got both hands on the steering wheel. I don't remember, but after it happened, I couldn't believe it, dude. Like, I was like, I got like shooken up,
just
like
hit you
crazy,
head on.
And I was like, "What the fuck?" And then we were looking at each other like we are right now, and we were like, "What the fuck?" You know. And the fucked up part is that he had a little girl in the driver's seat,
like his
she
sister?
looked fine. Yeah, a little sister, I guess. And it looked like he put it on reverse, put the car on reverse, because I was what?
I just lost audio.
You did?
That was weird.
That's weird for a minute. Or what?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the cable. Weird. I mean, probably take it off of there, but
no, it came through. Must have been my headphones.
Anyways, it was a crazy thing that now I need to look for a new car.
Yeah, your car got completely totaled, right?
Yeah, they paid it off. That's the cool part, you know. I don't have any more payments. That shit's done. Which is great. Because,
you're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, that's another thing I was thinking, is that if that accident happened with a much larger car, like a truck, you know, that's been raised, that would have decapitated me, you know, like I would have been just thrown back. It would have just crushed the front end of my freaking car straight into my face. Like, I wouldn't know where to go. Like, I know.
Yeah, or if he'd been going a little bit faster or something, he could have, just totally.
Yeah.
Fucking jumped over.
It was so dumb how it happened, too, because how are you not paying attention when you're driving? Especially when you see that there's, like, lots of traffic, and you're going through an intersection. The most important.
Sometimes you have those close moments, though, like when you're driving, especially out here in LA. I've had them when I drove my motorcycle, and I've had them when I'm driving. Like, this shit happened, I don't know, dude. It's weird because you get in those little moments all the time where you will almost hit somebody or someone will almost hit you. Or at least I get in those moments all the time. Even backing out or someone backing up from a whatever, and that could be it. You know, like, it could, like, you could get sideswiped or, like, I was driving in Beverly Hills the other day up near, Wilshire and, like, whatever, like, near the Four Seasons. and I was going down just some rando neighborhood, and like some of those streets are pretty narrow, so you gotta like split. You gotta like either pull off to the side and let the car that's coming opposite of you come through, or the same thing for you. You know, usually you don't. If it's too narrow, you can't squeeze through at the same time. But I was coming down, and one guy like in a I think he was in a Benz, and he was going like 40 in a residential neighborhood, which is fast.
Yeah.
For a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
For squeezing through. And so like I'm coming and I pull over to the side just a little bit to let him through, but I could tell he was hugging the right hand side way too much. And there was a couple cars right there. And then his side mirror just goes whoosh, and hits another mirror that was next to him on his right side, and just fucking obliterates the mirror. Like you just see the mirror go whoosh, just like shatter into, you know, like 25 pieces all over on the street. And then he slows down, and someone was in the car. Someone was in the car just like chilling on the side of the street for whatever reason, outside of their house or who knows. But they were in like a BMW or something. And then he stopped, and they like started talking. But like, how crazy would that be to like be sitting in your car, and then suddenly just whoosh, like the mirror right next to you just flies off, and you're like, holy shit, this dude just fucking. I was like, oh man. Yeah. But because I've been driving Lyft for like 3.5 years now, I've seen accidents happen all the time right in front of me, dude. I've seen 2 people get hit on bicycles in front of me. I've never seen a motorcycle crash, but I have seen some shit. I'm trying to think. I think the most intense one I saw was like, I think it was somewhere in Santa Monica. I was coming back from somewhere. I can't even remember what I was doing. I was coming back, kind of like going back towards the 405 on like Santa Monica Boulevard or something, or maybe on Wilshire. And like there's like 2 lanes that everyone's in, and everyone's coming up. It's kind of like leading up to rush hour. So it's like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. And then on the right-hand side, there's a right turn lane only, you know, where like only people who are turning right can go. And everybody else is in the 2 main lanes. And I'm in the second lane over from the turn lane. So directly to the right of me is the turn lane. So I have a clear sight of it. There's nobody in there. And I see this dude coming behind me, coming fast. And he's in like a Jeep. Like, or maybe like one of those, what are those fancy Benzes that you see? Or those Mercedes Benz that look like Jeeps? They look like something out of Jurassic Park. What are those called? They're like a Jeep wagon? Right? Something, no. Right? They're kind of like a Jeep, but Jeep's its own brand. So it's like, it was like one of those Mercedes Benz that looks like a Jeep. You know what I'm talking about? Those like safari looking cars.
Yeah.
And so he was cruising, going like 35 or 40, which coming up to a stoplight, it's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And so he's going, and then somebody was in the lane that I was in, like 4 cars ahead of me. And he was like, I'm going to go and turn right now. And so he decided to he books it into the right lane. He must have not checked his mirror right before then. Or it was like one of those moments where maybe he thought that he could like squeeze in before he was coming, or maybe like he literally just didn't check it. Or maybe, you know, as he checked it, the guy was in the perfect blind spot or something, because he pulled out fast into the turn lane, and he pulled out at the exact time that the Benz / Jeep or whatever was coming, and like both of their front of their cars go whoosh, and they hit. So he like smashes into the car, but they're both going fast enough to where like they don't just hit and stop. They hit and then they like go forward like a good 20 feet. They're like driving together with their cars touching and like linked up to where like their cars are like they're driving into each other, and their cars are like they're like crimping up into each other to where like the wheels on the left side of the Jeep and the wheels on the right side of whatever that guy had, he was like a sedan, are like coming off the ground. That was a pretty intense moment to see, because you're just sitting in traffic, and then all of a sudden you see this car come by fast, and then this other car, and you just boom, and they're both like skidding forward. It's like all these quick moments happening together.
That's usually it. It's like that one comedian, I forget who it was. It might have been Dane Cook, where he says like when you're washing your dishes and shit.
Fuck shoes. I'm going out shoeless.
Yeah. When you hear that.
I was in my kitchen washing a dish. Where were you? You were in the basement? Yeah. I heard a noise and then I came out. Yeah. Dane Cook, dude, he's funny.
Yeah, dude, what happened to that dude?
I think, I don't know. It's been, when did we go see? We saw him at the Comedy Store, or was it the Laugh Factory?
That was years ago.
That was like 2014.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure he's still out
I'm sure.
there.
I bet he's at the Comedy Store right now or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah,
he's probably just still doing stuff.
I mean, he's still like.
He's still white.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's still white.
Yeah, he really has a good sense of just
barbecue.
Just keep going.
Hustle.
Last time I heard from him is, I don't know what happened to him. I think when he tanked was when he put out all those movies of him starring in them as like some playboy kind of guy, some really good looking guy that always hangs out with cool people and all this stuff, and just he made himself to be like, you know.
I think he just got too rich. You know what? That's what I'm not scared. I'm aware of what wealth can do to people. You know, that's what's interesting, because like obviously, you know, I'm gonna be super wealthy soon, and that's not like a thing where I'm like boasting or gloating at all. It's just something like you're seeing the process where I'm putting in this work to become the individual and live the lifestyle I want to live. But also I see individuals that they become fat, you know, not just physically, which is true, but they also become fat mentally. They become fat emotionally. You know, they I don't want to say lose themselves, but I think they change, you know. I think wealth can change you. And I feel like if you're not careful, you can get complacent, or you just start like, I don't know, don't you see like these celebrities, whether like
I mean,
certain celebrities, they gain this, it's like wealth fat. And I'm speaking physically now, because like when I saw Dane Cook the next time, but also you're just getting older too. Your body's changing. I can't hate on that. You know, one person I kind of respect for that in those regards, and that's not a diss on Dane Cook. I'm just saying it just happens to everybody. Like as far as, but knowing that, I want to like be fit physically, mentally. I want to like I can tell I'm getting a little, and I'm still skinny, but I can tell like I'm getting, you know, a little pudge, or a little, like I'm not cut like I used to be, right? And so it's like anytime I feel that, or I can like sense that kind of energy in my body, I can sense I'm getting lethargic emotionally, or sense I'm getting lethargic mentally or physically. I'm like, all right, I got to turn it up. I got to switch this up. I got to go do some other shit. You know, I gotta keep putting in that work in different areas. Yeah. But like Jerry Seinfeld, when I see him, he is one of those people where I don't think he let wealth get to him specifically physically. Like if you look at him, he like, you know, he's hot. No, I'm just kidding. No, but he looks fine but he's also older. Like I didn't even know, like I think he's like 62 or something like that. He's in his 60s. Bet. I'm pretty sure. Him and Eddie Murphy too. Like Eddie Murphy is kind of like on the fringe. Like if you look at the episode, what was it? Something talking in cars with coffee. Yeah. Dancing with Stars and Coffee. I don't know.
Yeah.
That show. Mm-hmm. He's like, you can see Eddie Murphy, and you can see like a little bit of that wealth fat on Eddie Murphy.
I mean, he hasn't been in the game for a while. That goes to show a lot.
Yeah. But I mean, also, I don't know. Like, what do you think about that? Because as far as like, you want to soak your roots a little bit. Like, you got to enjoy all the not the money, but you know, you got to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So I get that. But is there a point where it just goes too far and you start?
That's the difference from like doing things because you love them and you do them for free if you needed to, versus the people that knew they were gonna be successful off of this and made a business and made that business so well where they don't have to keep working anymore. I mean, when is enough? You know, like how much do you gotta keep putting yourself out in the on the spotlight to keep making all this money, or keep, I mean, there's a thin line between loving something and obsessing over something, right? Like obsession's not good, even though it might yield some goodness, I guess, you know? So I don't guilt trip him for like fucking tapping out and being like, okay.
Who?
Eddie Murphy. and being like.
I mean, he's still doing work. I'm just saying.
I mean, he's back in the game now, but yeah, he got heavy, and he took all that time off, and.
But he's also 62.
Yeah.
Or not 62, but 60 also, you know, or something around there. Like, I think so.
Yeah.
So it's like they look good for their age too. I can't complain. Like my dad's, he's turning 60 this year. He's got some pudge. It's like you're gonna, unless you're like one of those Jack O'Lane power juicer dudes who are like, you know, just drinking juice in your 80s and
well, Joe Rogan, dude.
Joe Rogan, yeah, he's a good example, but he's still young too. I mean, younger. He's in his early 50s,
50 something,
52.
But
so that's still young. Where he's still and he's been in the arena, the lifestyle of fitness. Yeah. So that's kind of been his thing.
Yeah.
So it's harder, I think, if fitness is not your lifestyle. You know, like for me, it's fitness isn't my lifestyle either, and it's not yours either. I mean, it's like we do fitness. We are, you know, we try to be fit, but it's not like you're not a UFC fighter. You're not a wrestler. Neither am I. So
you're not an athlete, basically.
Yeah, we're not athletes. Joe Rogan is an athlete.
Yeah. I
mean,
if
Brian,
you look, like if you look at, I guess Mike Tyson's still kind of like.
Mike Tyson's an athlete. Yeah, he's fit.
Yeah, he's pretty fit. He says he doesn't box anymore. He
I mean,
doesn't
do you ever
ever go in the ring again. He says that he thinks that Monster or whoever he used to be will come back and he'll be like, motherfucker, I'm gonna get back in there.
Yeah.
He's says, but he says he still goes out for runs and shit. Where I'm like, damn, okay, shit. I don't even run that much, you know. I run like what we did two miles yesterday or the day before yesterday. I fucking died after those 2 miles, dude.
What's the farthest you've ran ever? Just not even without stopping. Just with like when you in one day or in one session. What's the farthest you've gone?
I told myself to do an hour one time, and then I pushed myself to an hour and a half, and that was like.
You jogged for an hour and a half straight?
No. I stayed on the treadmill for an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How long? How many miles did you do? Like 6.5?
So it was like around 6, 7 miles.
That's good. Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah. So.
I mean, even if it's not.
But I paced myself, and that was when I was really working out a lot more than I do now. Where now, obviously, I got sick for a while, and I didn't work out, and then that.
You got sick for a while? What are you talking about?
Yeah, when I had that shit, my shit.
Oh, like back pains and stuff.
Yeah, so I stopped working out for a minute, and then I recovered. And I tried to get back on it, and then the whole accident happened, and that just slowed everything down. And then losing my job, that was another one. So.
It's hard to stay up on the fitness game. It's hard to. Well, I mean, it's not hard. I think it's like discipline.
80% of it is diet, dude. If you're looking to stay fit, it's diet. Which is I'm not a good example of that because I'm pretty chubby.
That's a good point.
And but I know that is because I eat bad.
What are the things that you identify as bad when you're eating?
Pasta. A lot of pasta is bad.
I don't think pasta is bad for you. I mean, it's carbohydrates. My thing is carbohydrates late in the day is bad for you. Pasta for dinner, bad for you. Pasta for lunch, good for you.
You don't know anything about like nutrition.
I
do,
dude.
Opinions and beliefs.
I have done research. I've taken classes and I've studied, and I know that.
No, you haven't. Never seen you take any classes. What classes have you taken on nutrition, bro?
In high school and in college, I've taken nutritional classes.
What they taught you in high school is all fucking bullshit, bro. And on top of that, every person's body is different. Yeah. Some people function better with carbohydrates and burn through that shit faster. And then some people don't have that, like high.
I bet I could put 10 people on the same diet. And if they strictly followed that diet, they would all have similar outcomes. Because diet, I don't ascribe to that. I don't think that people. I think that some people do react differently to certain aspects or certain ingredients in food. But for the most part, as a generalization, people are going to react to energy, specifically food input into your body, in the same way. Meaning you eat carbs, you're going to get energy. if you're eating too many carbs, especially later in the day when you're not moving your body as much, you're going to gain fat. You're eating a lot of sugar, it's going to be stored as fat. You eat vegetables, your body's going to use that. If you're eating later in the day, your body is going to try to turn. We just have an airplane right outside the window.
Dude, we got that airport.
Just open up the curtains.
Hawthorne Airport.
And yeah, there's just an airplane right next to us.
Yeah, those stupid fucking airports are.
That's the loudest.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like it's about to crash into the house right now.
That's happened. It's been happening more often than not.
The fuck?
Stay tuned for the freaking fall.
Destruction of our house by airplane.
Yeah, they're not gonna hit us.
Shit.
The likelihood of hitting us, they'll destroy the neighbors upstairs before they destroy us.
That's one of those noisy ass prop propeller planes.
Those are probably a Cessna. You know, those small airplanes, but they fucking loud as fuck.
Yeah, garbage.
Yeah, dude.
What's it talking about? Drugs and rock and roll.
And health advice might not be the best choice because you are a naturally skinny guy.
No, that's not true.
Yes, you are.
That's not true. No.
I mean, you don't eat as much either. You know,
because I'm very because I'm aware.
The stuff that you do eat is disgusting.
That's not true at all. Look at what I'm eating right now. Broccoli.
Now, but back, I know you for what? Freaking 8 years or whatever. Yeah. I've seen you eat some terrible shit where how the fuck did you not get fat after doing it forever? You know, now you're kind of cleaning your shit out. But before it wasn't, you know, it was more like...
I've always eaten vegetables and salads and healthy food, but I also indulge in pizza and beer and other stuff. It's a balance, you know? I think the biggest thing is knowing how to listen to your body. I don't think a lot of people take the time to really listen to their body, to really appreciate what their body is saying to them. Either they eat too much because they don't know when they're full, or they don't listen to their body when they say they need some healthier food or when they need water. I think it's kind of like, for me, I'm trying to get to the next level. I think I have a good intuition in general. I think I have a good ability to hear what my body is telling me to do, like what I need for certain things. But I think the next level is what is it called when you do it beforehand? Not a prerequisite, but essentially paying attention to it before it arises. Kind of like when you're dehydrated. When you recognize that you're dehydrated, it's too late. You're supposed to be drinking water beforehand so that you don't get to that point, because once you realize it, you're already dehydrated. So in that point, I am always kind of playing catch up, because right now I recognize when my body needs vegetables or when my body needs more water or when I'm eating too much stuff, and I change my habit and then I eat healthy or whatever, vary up my habit. So I think, so I feel like my next level is I got to just start eating more healthy, which I'm trying to, I've been doing, and I have been eating healthy throughout the years, but I don't think a lot of people have that. I don't think a lot of people have that cognizance or that awareness to notice their body, notice when they need to be eating better.
Well, of course they don't. I mean, you say that you recognize your body when it needs nutrients because you have access to nutrients. Some people don't have access. Good, nutritious food isn't readily obvious to them. They don't know what healthy food. Some people get built up in this culture where, hey, this is what my mom used to do way back when, or my grandma used to, and she taught me how to do it this way, and I've been eating that my whole life, and I feel great. But yet they're heavy, and some people are delusional to I'm just big boned, or I'm fine the way I look. I like being,
Yeah, a lot of it's cultural.
That's great for the sense of that, but don't say it's healthy. That's not
what, them or me?
Yeah, well, people that consider themselves heavy being fine, and that's fine. People are allowed to be however they want to be, but don't say it's healthy, because you're giving the bad impression of people that actually work hard to stay healthy.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because health is this relative term because what's healthy? I mean, health comes from what, the Latin root whole. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's misplaced or misused in food in that regard. To be healthy,
Well,
to be whole. So I mean, like if your body is functioning properly, then you are whole in a way. So you are healthy. But
well,
as far as like the standard of health, I mean, if you're bigger, you are more, you have a tendency to have heart disease
yeah,
and
that's what I mean. It's like if you're gonna
diabetes,
be
stuff like that.
using science to say that people are like this or people are like that. Yeah, but like the most optimal way is that if you're heavy, if you're overweight, you are more susceptible to diabetes, and you're more susceptible to all these other, uh, you know, physiological illnesses that you can pick up and make your life already hard. Because just being heavy, you're already taking a burden.
Mm.
Like I'm not. If you are heavy and you're being working on it and you you know you're okay with it or whatever. I'm not saying anything about those people. I'm just saying that it's not healthy. And
Yeah.
and
Dude, I don't
I'm
know how
heavy
some of the
too. Like
you're not
it's
heavy.
hard.
You're
It's
not heavy.
hard, dude. Like
I
I
mean,
mean,
you're not heavy. You
I'm
might
not
be
overweight. I'm like
you're
above average.
slightly, yeah, you're slightly above average now. That's about it.
Mhm.
You have lost. You used to be.
Oh yeah, I
You
used to
used to
be
be
really
a
heavy.
little heavy. No, no, you used to be a little. You're not even heavy anymore. You used to be a little heavy.
Yeah, I used to
Now,
be.
now you're like at the same where I'm at, where it's like you just don't want to. You're not at the place where you want to be, but you're
Yeah, I don't
completely
think
healthy.
anybody can get to that place they really want to be because
Yeah, you can. You
I
just gotta
mean,
fucking be dedicated and
I
diligent
mean, the
and work at
real
it every
place
day.
you want to be is like those fucking, supermodel status. Like, if you could choose anybody to.
What, male super? No, they're too skinny. You want to be like a
Well,
MMA fighter, really. You want to be fit. I think the biggest thing is if you really know what you want, or if you really want to be healthy, you want to be functional. You want to be able to touch your toes. You're a pretty good stretcher. You want to be able to touch your toes. You want to
yeah,
be able to. You want to be able to. Run a mile. You want to be able to run 5 miles in a row without stopping. You want to have good
yeah.
breath. You want to be able to. You want to be able to, like, dude. I was about to say I've picked up a couple people, specifically recently, and they're so fat. They're so big to where, like, when and guys and girls, particularly, I picked up this one girl the other day, this one lady, and she had, like, just big everywhere, big to where, like, it just starts spilling out in, like, shapes. You just see, like, a shape here and a shape here, and you're like, how'd you get all those shapes on you? Like, it's so bad. and
Yeah,
and
dude.
you're like, oh, and when they get in the car, they have trouble breathing, and
Yeah, you
like they
can hear their
just they
brother.
just walked to the car. They just got in and sat down, like, and they're huffing and puffing. You're like,
And then
what
you
did you
took them to a
do?
restaurant.
What is it?
And then you take
Yeah,
them to
man,
a
take it,
restaurant.
right? I'm going to eat lunch right now.
Yeah, I'm so tired.
I'm so hungry. Right? Like, no, you don't need to eat for a
But
month.
we don't mean to like fat shame,
No, there's no
how
fat
do you,
shame. That's fat life. That's just
I
real. That's
know,
just
but
real
like
talk.
to bring it up as that is what some people consider on the internet as fat shaming. And
No,
that's not
that's
what
not
we
fat shaming.
intend,
No, fat shaming is not when you're like, that's disgusting, and it is. That is just. No, I'm just kidding. No,
See, like you can't do that.
I can
People
do
get
whatever the
mad.
fuck I want, Mario.
Yeah, you can.
No,
You
no, it's
yourself.
no, it's not. No, I'm not fat shaming because I know fat people. I have fat friends, and
That
uh,
doesn't give you the right. That's the one wrong thing with white people is that just because you know someone that's black, you can say the N word. That is no logical
uh,
conclusion you can reach by saying that. Like you
I
guys need
guess.
to
Well, I'm
stop
not.
making that reference.
What do you
I have
mean, you
bad friends.
guys? What do you mean, you guys?
Just because you have fat
You
friends doesn't
guys?
give you the liberty
No,
to say fucked up shit about fat people. That's so fucked up.
I get that in the sense of, like, you're saying that I'm saying it, like, because I have this friend, it gives me the right to say whatever I want.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that
No.
because I have friends that are overweight, I understand what it means. That's what that means.
You'll never understand. That's the problem. It's like you can't understand. If you've never been that
I can
heavy,
because I have addiction. And I know that eating is an addiction.
Oh,
yes.
you
it's
have
true.
an addiction, yeah. But the addiction of food is completely different from the addiction of
it is in
drugs
substance
or anything like that.
No, it's not. It is in substance.
Yes,
no, it's
it
not.
is.
No, it's not. Addiction is all the same. It's you have something inside of you that you consider to be lack. You have a lack of something. You're saying there's something that I need, and you go and fill that need. You have a void inside of you, a space inside of that you're trying to fill with something. This is all addiction. I don't care if it's drugs, if it's religion, if it's sex, pussy, dick, whatever. It's you have something that you want. You have a space inside of you that you feel like you need to fill. Whether it's a job, it could be this podcast, it could be anything. We all have that. And so we all have that in little ways. We all have that in ways in which it's like, I want to become a better person. I want this job. I want a good relationship. So we all try to fill that void in smaller ways. But sometimes for people that have larger addictions, where it can take a hold of their life and restrict them from doing other things in their life, that's when you know that addiction is controlling you. Or that's when you know that it is something that is a detriment to your life or to the people around you, because you're not in control of that void or that space or filling that space. You're allowing that to pull you in directions that you don't necessarily want to go, or maybe aren't necessarily healthy for you. So in that way, I look at somebody doing drugs or somebody that's fat, and I say, that's disgusting. Not because I think they're disgusting, because everybody is pure. It's the old adage, like, for those who are pure, everything is pure. For those who are base, everything is base. For me, I look at everything as pure because I look at everything as me. And this goes to my philosophy of life, which is everything is me. So if I say that that's disgusting, what I'm really saying is not that that person is disgusting, but rather that quality or that trait that I'm calling disgusting, I find disgusting in myself. That's what I'm really saying. So when I say, man, that person was so fat, that's disgusting, I'm not saying that Tammy or Jimmy or, whoever it is that I'm talking about is disgusting, because they're a person. They get to be their own thing and they are pure. They're not disgusting. But for me, that habit is disgusting in me.
Yeah, but so people I won't recognize look at it that way.
Well, people can look at whatever they want, however they want. But it's important to communicate, and this is what podcasts are so good because, or any real communication, because you're no longer just looking at the facade of someone's comment. You're no longer looking just at the first glance of what they're saying, but you get into the meat of what they really want to say. Because if I say, if I look at someone that is, say, fat or whatever, insert whatever eccentric personality trait you have, and I say, that's disgusting, or that's something that I hate or don't like, all you're really saying as an individual, if you're someone like me specifically, then for me, all I'm saying, I should say, because I can't speak for other people, all I'm saying is that I don't like, or I don't want that trait or that quality in me. But for them, they get to be whoever they want. If you wanted to be like PC and politically correct, anytime, if you're talking about, an individual in that way, you'd be like, that is disgusting on me. Or, I find that disgusting if I was living that lifestyle, or if I had that.
Yeah, but sometimes you can take that into like racial, narratives too, and that's not a good thing either. Because if you're using that as like, okay, I don't see that, I feel that's disgusting on me. That's the same concept as, I find, colored people disgusting on me, so I find them disgusting, so you're...
Well, that's your prerogative. We all do or don't like certain things. So if you don't like, if you're like, okay, if someone had like a pigment changer, to where you could change the pigment of your color to
Your
whatever
skin.
you wanted. Yeah, the pigment of your skin to whatever you wanted. You could be a blue person. You could be an orange person. You could be whatever. You could color yourself rainbow. You could color yourself white, black, tan. If you could pick out your color, then how would this conversation change? It would change dramatically. It would be not a big deal to be like, no, I don't like black. No, I don't like blue. I don't like orange. I like green. I like white. It wouldn't be a big deal. It's a big deal because what comes with that topic or that idea that you don't like a color is because it has history to it. That's the thing. There's this history behind what you do or do not like on the surface. So it comes down again to proper communication. So
that's the crazy thing, because people are tribal. I mean, we've had conversations about this like 1,000 times. Where people choose their side and go with that side 100%, no matter what. And if their side says that if we're heavy, it's because we want it that way, and that's how it is. You can't say shit about us. You know what I mean? Like,
and you can't. They're their own person. They can be their own person. Why would I want to say shit about them?
Of course, you don't, but they're sensitive about that. They're.
I learned something for myself way back when, which is that you can't offend anybody. Meaning,
they get to choose.
Someone can get offended by anything, but no matter what I say, you can hurt somebody physically. And the old adage, you can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I mean, obviously, words can affect people. There is an actual pressure that you're sending out with your vibration, and that can physically affect them. So I understand that aspect of it, but to some degree, to a high degree, you have the ability to control how that energy or how those words affect you. And so you can't really, I don't believe in the idea of offending people. And that's why for me personally, it's very hard to offend me. Someone could come up to me and be like, hey, faggot, or hey, whatever, or hey, douche, or hey, like even you and Neil like tease me regarding my philosophy or my idea, but I take it all with a grain of salt, and it just doesn't mean anything to me, because for me, I think the biggest thing is knowing yourself. So if you know yourself, if you know who you are as an individual, whether you're gay or whether you're black or Asian or Ethiopian or Russian or whatever, if you know who you are, and side note, I think however you define yourself is how you restrict yourself. So if you define yourself as this, and that, what you're really doing is restricting yourself by those. But nevertheless, everybody gets...
That's a good point.
Everybody gets to define themselves in their own way. And so I can't take that from you. I can't define you. You have the ability to define yourself. So if what I'm saying is changing how you see you, then it's like what Cat Williams said. It's like, motherfucker, it's self-esteem. How can I fuck up your esteem of yourself? Like, like when you have high self-esteem, if you have full self-awareness, then if you're gay and someone comes up and says, hey, faggot, then like, that doesn't mean anything to you, because you know that you're not a faggot.
Yeah,
you know that you're a hero or whatever you are in your mind, because that is who you are. You create your own reality. So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to like empathize with people who are victims. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Like, but then there are people who are real victims, like children who get beat or stuff like that. Exactly. I don't know. There's so some interesting...
there's a clear polarity and change where things get gray, and the clear. We oftentimes as humans we use our deduction of pattern recognition to assign certain aspects to be a certain thing, and then later on down the line it changes, and we get more data and things become more gray. And I totally believe in what you were saying. It's like, don't make yourself a victim, stand up for yourself, take charge, take responsibility, and make something out of yourself. but at the same time, then there are the people that have been taken so much from that, like, it's already so not such a rigged game that there is no hope that they will win, you know? So, like, that's a victim, and that's an actual victim because, you know, they're in
uncontrollable circumstances.
Uncontrollable circumstances, like someone having a gun over your head or whatever. Or
right.
You're, like, innocent because you don't have the knowledge. You don't have the knowledge. You're young, you know? Or, you know, like cults.
Well, I think
that's the biggest one, cults.
Well, the thing for me is, like, when you give up your freedom, a lot of people, I think, give up their freedom of thought or of even physical control to others in a myriad of situations, whether it be emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever. So, like, a good example, like two examples, one would be if someone says a name to you or someone says something insulting to you, whether it's about your heritage, whether it's about your weight, whether it's about your sexual orientation, whatever, and you let that affect you. You let that affect you somehow, and you respond to it in a way that is seemingly negative. That is them determining your interaction in a situation rather than you willing your life, you creating your life. You're allowing your life to be created by others. So I don't appreciate or I don't agree with that type of dynamic. And the other dynamic where I think it is a hindrance is when, let's say, for example, like a super overweight person, when you have the ability to make decisions for yourself and make healthier decisions, but you let your environment control you. It's, again, kind of like playing a victim. I feel like overweight people, and I can't speak for all overweight people because I don't know all overweight people, but I get the sense that there is kind of a victimhood mentality that I think comes with a lot of addiction, which is you feel like you're out of control. You feel as though, because I've had that feeling when I have gotten too fucked up on alcohol, smoked too much weed, done whatever. Like, you have this sense of, I'm not in control. I'm just doing it. Something's driving me. Something is pulling me in that direction. But I think that the moment that you lose your connection with your willpower, that's where you start going down these path roads that lead you towards unhealth, unwholeness, whether it be a state of mentality where you're antagonistic with others and you feel like the world is against you, or whether you lead towards drugs and alcohol or something that's addictive, or even food, or even, addiction towards sex or whatever. It's like, I think there's that line of where you start to not be in tune with your ability to will your life, the ability to will and create in your environment.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a big statement, and that's the right statement to say and believe in, so that you don't ever find yourself as a victim. But again, cults.
What about cults?
Some people are looking for people to tell us the right thing to do. Like,
some people just want to be told.
Like, before you knew anything, before you knew about victimhood and how that happens, and this whole philosophy you made up, right. It took time for you to hear a bunch of bad ideas and then pick out all the good ideas out of that and then make your own philosophy out of it. Right. Some people don't have that constant new flow of ideas always, or at least in the sense where there's good ideas here, but they can't pick out all the bad ideas out of there, and so they're left with some shit ideas in there. So, like, people are oftentimes, trying to seek out truth. My favorite quote, admire those who seek truth, but beware of those who find it.
Right? That's interesting.
So,
who said that?
I forget his name, but
Ronald McDonald.
Probably.
Ronald McDonald's like eating the hamburger. Like, beware of those who seek truth. Just dropping knowledge on people. Smoking a cigarette. Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
Dressed up in his full costume.
Ronald McDonald.
And then the picture.
He's
and then
a clown. You know that, right?
Yeah. And then and then he's like eating and smoking a cigarette.
Costume.
And then he walks into like the McDonald's like with his arm around the kids and looks back and winks at the camera.
What the fuck? That means nothing. And you took everything that's good about that quote and dumped it in McDonald's.
Like, the truth is kids.
What the fuck? That's a terrible analogy. You.
It's funny though.
That was dumb as fuck. Anyways.
So Ronald McDonald had this quote.
See, I don't even know what I was talking about anymore. You fucked it up, Grant. Congratulations. Your stupid idea shared on here. Fuck the whole show. You fucked it up. We're going to have to start again.
Yeah. And take. All right. So what was the quote again? Say the quote. For those who beware.
Beware.
Or love people.
Admire those who seek truth, but beware of those who find it. So that's the whole thing. It's right there. Like, you seek truth and you think you found it. That's the issue with you, is that you think by putting this whole philosophy of yours together, you have claimed that you found the best philosophy, the best way to live, the best diet, the best everything, where you're what, like 30-some years old, where like you haven't even lived a full life.
I don't claim that it's the best. No, not at all. It's actually exact opposite.
You are claiming it's gonna change
the best
science
so far.
Forever.
Yeah, the best so far and the best are two very different statements, because I recognize that you can always be better. I'll be better than the best I'll ever be, meaning that no matter where you're at, I think that's what we are as any entity. You are this being that is constantly evolving. We are energy that's constantly growing. And dude, can I drink some of this booze?
Yeah.
Let's pour this. It's just over here just looking all full, and we got 2 cups and we're not even drinking.
Yeah. I think they're clean. Yeah, they're upside down. You want to go get some ice?
We got some whiskey. Let's just drink it raw, dude. Let's just be men.
Jesus.
Whoa. I feel like it's gonna.
No, it pours straight down here. So it'll be fine.
Whoa. Thanks for sharing, dude.
Damn, you pour a shit ton.
I'm a man, Mario. I'm not much of a man, but I'm a man.
Yeah, doesn't it look cool? I'm glad you got me this. This is a great Christmas present.
Was that Christmas?
Or
birthday or something?
I don't remember, but
yeah, dude.
It looks really nice right there.
Your birthday's coming up, man. You about to be like 22 and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be 14.
You're gonna be 55.
Yeah, what the fuck should we do for my birthday, bruh?
What do you want to do?
I want to do something cool.
You want to go to like a race factory or whatever, where you race little F1 cars around?
Dude, that would be cool, bro. Like, I always wanted to
race
get
around.
Yeah, I've been.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Cheers, dude. Thanks for having me on your podcast, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on. 101. 101. Man, I haven't drank Jack Daniel's straight in so long.
It's good.
Like,
you gotta sip it. There's better for sure as far as sipping. Jack Daniel's, I feel like
I'm a little bitch, bro.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I feel like Jack Daniel's is a good mixing whiskey because it's.
Yeah.
It has a nice bite to it. Old fashions, yeah. Jack Daniel's aren't really good for old fashions.
Is that not old fashioned? What comes with old fashioned?
Yeah, whiskey. But I'm saying Jack Daniel's just. I feel like you can have a better whiskey for a.
Yeah, you used to be a bartender, so you would know about liquor and all that, because you've always been teaching me. It's like, oh, this is how you sip wine, red wine. It's like you got to get oxygen in there.
Yeah.
So it gets oxygenized
so
and all this stuff. Yeah, and I'll be like, and I'll be like, okay. I mean, if that's how you do it. And it also, I think you told me about, like, stirring it around and shit in the wine glass, because it oxygenizes more and shit, or I don't know. So, you know about this shit. I'm like...
Trace Buffalo's a pretty good one. Trace Buffalo, Eagle Rare. These are, like, cheap, good whiskeys.
Yeah? How do you know that, though?
Just because I've had them.
You've
I've
had
drank
them?
them. As far as like sipping whiskey.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't understand
Trace
those
Buffalo's
people
probably.
that get the really cheap like vodka or whiskey and shit. We're like,
That
ugh.
stuff is just for like making Jello shots and
You
doing
think so?
like yeah. I mean, I don't know. Vodka's not good. I don't like. I remember vodka. Vodka is like a high school. It's weird, dude. When I think about that, like I was drinking in junior high. I
Damn.
was going to parties and doing Jello shots in junior high, and I'm like, I remember going to this girl's house. All right, so this is a mind fuck for me now, being 31. Like I remember going to this girl's house. Her name was Christina, I'm pretty sure, and I had this crush on this one chick. She never came to the parties, but her friend did. So there was this girl named Kai Goulion or something like that, and her friend in junior high was this girl named Jackie, or at least they hung out a couple times. They were like good friends. And this chick, Jackie, would always come over to this girl, Christina's house for her parties. And we would go over there. And I was like, who is it?
Oh, shit. What up?
Was it
Podcasting.
new?
What up, yo?
Got some mail for you guys.
Thanks, man.
Sweet. Thanks.
Bring it back later.
And I would go over to her house, this chick, Christina's house. And I'd go to her garage.
Whoa.
And inside, like her parents were down with it. That's what's interesting. I feel like the people that were like parents that were born in like the 60s or the 70s, they were okay with letting their kids get away with shit. You know what I mean? Like, so like I remember my mom throwing parties for me where like I'm 14, 15 and we're making Jello shots and we have a keg in the garage. Cause it's like one of those things where your parents are looking at like if they're doing it at home, then it's safer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I respect. Now that I'm adult, like but at the same time, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like I would never let my kids drink at 14. Not the way that I was drinking. Like I was a boozer at 14. Like what?
Yeah.
Like and my dad probably didn't really know it as much as my mom. My mom knew it because she was down. She was cool. I mean, not that my dad wasn't, but like my dad, because they're so religious. Like when you're ultra religious, you're not gonna get away with shit.
You're super Christian, right?
Yeah, but my mom, became a lesbian at a young age for me, and then
That's right, dude. That's when I heard that from you. When like we first got to know each other, and you told me that's what kind of world you came from. I'm like, man, I can never relate with this dude. Like,
well, it's just a different
had
dynamic.
a whole different life than what I've had. But nevertheless, you're a pretty normal guy. I mean, I've known you forever. You're like my best friend, and you're coming from that kind of world. You're like
relatively normal.
Yeah, like that you were closed off to a lot of other stuff, but you caught on. Oh no, wait, you went to school in high school, right? Because you were homeschooled, right?
Well, that's what's weird too. Yeah, it's like being able to like when you're introspective, is that the right word? Like when you're self-aware, when you look back at your past self and you can imagine how your interactions and how your experience as a youth, whether it's interacting with people at school or whether it's how your parents raised you or how they weren't there or whatever, when you can see and when you can recognize that and see how that affects you as an adult, that's kind of powerful. So like I've told you about that before, like the fact that I felt like I was raised more by my mom than my dad. Like I feel like I'm a little bit more feminine in some aspects, and I feel like, and I feel like I have to like, I've had to train myself how to be more manly in certain areas, but which I'm okay with, like because I recognize that, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Like I identify. But also because of my belief in my personal philosophy now, I kind of try to balance myself between both. I kind of try to allow my energy to flow however it wants to in regards to being more masculine or being more feminine, because I think both are in me. I think, I'm made of both aspects or the dynamic of both. So I'm not afraid to be expressive as well as be more formal or more masculine that way. But going back to that house, so we'd go over to this chick's house, Christina, and we would come inside this house, and her parents would have the whole garage in like smoke machines and fog machines, and there was like laser lights everywhere. And this is like, how old was I? This is 2002, 2003. So like this is when all this stuff is coming out. Like they didn't have like this is back when like Spencer's was the shit. Like you're going to the mall. There's no YouTube. There's no iPod.
Well, there's YouTube, but not YouTube
like what it is now. No.
Yeah.
It was like it was like for public awareness, public announcements and shit. It wasn't go up and find information.
Videos on how to do this and that, but nothing like it is now, for sure.
Nothing like it is now. So when we go there, like they had it all decked out. They had lava lamps and laser lights and smoke machine and music. And so we're all sitting there like partying in this room. And then I can't remember. I know we got drunk, but I forget how, because I don't think they let us, or like I think what happened is essentially they left. Like there would be like 12 of us or 15 of us, sometimes like 20. I don't think it got bigger than 20. And then the parents would leave. They would like go to their room and fuck or whatever. Like who knows? Like they just disappeared, but they're like still in the area. Or they'd go and smoke cigarettes or something. And we would like be smoking cigarettes on the side of the house, and we would be like getting, I think we had beers, and I'm pretty sure we went to the room, like Christina's room, and we drink in her room or something like that. I can't remember. But I just remember like specifically Jackie, she was a freak. Not a freak, but she was like, for how young she was
down.
She was promiscuous, you know? Like I remember well, it's like, it's weird. It's weird what you hold on to, you know, as a person. Like
just left it out.
Well, like I was a cheesy little, what do you call it?
Little white boy.
Prude. Yeah, I was prude, you know, because I was very religious still. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I even came to these things, it was like, I forget even why I went. It must have been because I was, you know, it's probably because I was trying to impress a girl or something, or trying to like fit in with people, or maybe a friend invited me. I don't know.
You want to be cool too, you know what I mean? Like I remember when I went to a pool party, there's this girl that she was so cute.
Yeah.
But I felt like an outsider because I wasn't really close. I was just part of like the class. I think she invited the whole class. And there were just a couple friends or a couple people that weren't able to make it because they live really far.
How old are you?
Damn, dude, that's a good one. I think I might have been in middle school or something.
You went through all the schooling, right?
Yeah, I was all public school. My parents were like, you fucking figure it out. Like, even I had some homework that they didn't know what the fuck, and that's why I did pretty bad in school, dude. Like, I hate school. I did not do good in school.
No. What was your first language? Because you speak Spanish and English. What was the first thing you learned? Spanish?
Spanish, yeah.
But then you kind of just
Spanish. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. But your mom speaks good English too?
No.
She doesn't?
Compared
not
to
as
her
good
Spanish,
as Spanish. But she still speaks English.
Well, yeah, of course. She gets around. She has her own business. So, like, she learned enough.
Your siblings, they all speak both, right?
Well, yeah, they grew up here, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, children of a...
Well, let me clarify that, because the ones that grew up here, they don't speak that good of Spanish.
Which ones?
The youngest ones. Juan and Yessi. They don't speak really good Spanish.
So their English is way better.
Even the third one, like Carolina, she doesn't have the best Spanish. Neither do I.
Who speaks better, you or Yesenia?
Yesenia.
She speaks really good Spanish?
She's the youngest. She doesn't speak any good Spanish.
Oh, who's the...
I mean, like, she speaks a little bit of good Spanish, but not compared to Jocelyn.
Jocelyn. Yeah. Jocelyn, does she speak better Spanish than you?
Yeah, I think she does. Yeah, because she's...
Is her boyfriend Spanish?
No. I mean, he knows a little bit of Spanish, but he doesn't speak it. No.
Oh, no.
No.
Interesting.
No.
They've been dating for a while, huh?
Yeah. I mean, they're doing good.
Are they married? They didn't get married.
No, they didn't get married. No. But they live... She has a house. Like, my sister's really got her shit together. Like,
isn't that weird to see people go down that path? And you're like, damn, I'm 31 and I'm still trying to push on shit. And, like, some people already have houses and families.
And they're already settling down, you know?
Yeah, like...
I'm out here struggling in LA, trying to make something out of myself.
But it's our journey. We're on our own journey. We're on our own path.
Yeah,
it's different.
Like she wants to have kids because she's a girl, so she has a time clock, and she's about to be 30, and she doesn't want to not have kids at all, and she's like planning it out and seeing if it's gonna be affordable, if that's the house they want to keep, and all this stuff, and. It's expensive having a kid, dude. I'm sure you know that. I mean, like, it's expensive having pets, bro. Some people love pets so much they don't look at their bank statements, looking at, damn, I spent like $1,000 on food and toys for my dog.
Yeah, you want kids?
Oh yeah,
you do?
Like down the line, I would like some.
How many kids you want?
But if it's not feasible, if I can't find the right person or something,
you'll just make them out of robot parts.
I won't. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm pressured to have kids.
You don't. You don't need them.
No.
You like them.
But I would want some, because.
Because you want someone that looks like you.
I think you care more about the world when you know your son and daughter are going to have to live after you died, you care more about other people. I feel like fathers can relate with someone that's not doing so well. Good fathers, at least, good fathers can relate with someone that's growing up, like take care of kids. When you have your own kid, you can take care of kids, but when you're single and you're doing your own shit, it's hard to care about other people and care about young people.
Yeah, I wonder if your political agenda and your life agenda, what you want in general changes. I'm sure it does. It's all going to change. Right now you want certain things or you see the world in a certain way.
It would be weird if you didn't change, dude. If you still didn't give a shit about the world, you're still dumping shit outside your door or whatever, not doing, taking care of shit, you're leaving that off to your daughter and son.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, if you're a developed person and a whole person, hopefully it doesn't change. I mean, I guess I don't know, because I mean, if you're already put together, then having a kid shouldn't change your personality. I mean, it should. I like what certain people say, where it's like it increases your ability to love or your capacity to be a better human. I think that's cool, but I mean, it shouldn't really change the dynamic of what makes you you, I don't think, right?
No. I mean, most of the time it doesn't, but I feel like the right parents and the right, I guess just the right parents, the right people, I should say, because it's not all parents are great. Sometimes the mom's really good and dad's mad. Crazy, or the dad's awesome and the mom's crazy. One of those two. It's like, it's really hard, I think, to find the right person that has the same ideals that you guys want to build yourself out of, and designate those beliefs into your daughters and sons, because I mean, I think everybody's developing themselves, at some extent, because to think that you figured it all out and seen how it all plays out and the best way in which to do it, that's kind of crazy in itself. There's no way you figured it all out like that. So when you're teaching a little person how to live, you're teaching them a lot about how you see the world,
right.
And when how you see the world, obviously they start seeing the world the same way, unless they down the line see that it's full of shit.
Yeah, what do you think of that as far as like nature versus nurture? Do you think we are more environmentally impacted, or do you think it's more genetic? Do you think you're kind of like, because obviously it's both.
It's obviously it's both.
But do you think it's?
I think it does have a lot to say to how you get grown by your parents.
I think it's more
the people in your environment. Even if you get grown up by parents that are really good and open-minded, you can still get closed up by other people you hang out with, like your friends. Like by your teens, when you're going through puberty and all that, you start like not liking your parents that much. You kind of like want to like spread your wings and go and do your own shit, or at least that's vague analogy of, you know, at one point you think you figured it all out and you think you can handle your own shit, and you know, when you're young like that, you try to make your own choices, but you don't know the detriment to them, you know. I was never a misbehaved kid. I mean, all the things I did wrong, I never got caught.
Really? What did you do that you thought was wrong that you didn't get caught for?
I mean, they bought me a car. They knew I was gonna fucking race on that shit, dude. They bought me a Mustang 1990 5.0, you know, like fucking big block 8 V8.
Mm-hmm.
And I would race that shit like crazy. I would be going like
Did you ever get in an
almost
accident?
100 miles an hour on some small roads and shit where like the car will almost fell apart because it's not designed to take that much speed and shit, you know?
Did you ever
like,
crash it?
No, of course not. Like,
did I tell you about the story where I crashed when I was
drag
racing?
I heard that you crashed a Mustang. Was it a Mustang?
Saturn.
A Saturn. Yeah, how did that go down?
So dumb, dude. It's so crazy when I think about this stupid shit. Like I don't really contemplate it until I think of stories like this. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, and it's nothing compared to like other people like Joey Diaz or even whatever. Like these people that have like that really fucked up stories. Or like, but I mean, we all have these little moments where they're like, I can't believe I did that. And there was this house. I think it was this neighborhood. I think it was this girl named Krista Bittner. She's gotten married now since then. But like, I was gonna say her real last name now, but
doesn't matter. It's not like people are gonna look it up.
But Krista so anyways, no.
Her social security is
her favorite color. No, I think we used to go hang out at her house, and we were like leaving her house one time, and her neighborhood was like this hood where the streets, they like curve around a little bit. They like straight and then they curve and then they're straight and then they curve. So it's like not a straightaway. That's the point I'm getting at. Not a straightaway. And so, and I didn't know the neighborhood that well either. Like, and it's nighttime. It's dark out. And it was me and my buddy Kenny, and he's sitting in the front street. Or it was him and Kenny, and then I think a girl in the back. It might have been Krista. And we're like, how about you get out and have a flag or your shirt or whatever and do like Fast and Furious shit.
Way.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, and then it was whoever the dudes that we were racing, because they had some car and they were talking shit. They were talking like, I could beat you in a drag race or whatever. And so we're like, fuck that. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, they're like having this little 4-banger Saturn that can't do shit, obviously. But I don't know that because I'm 16 and all I've been doing for the past 3 months since I've had it is like putting it in neutral and stepping on the gas and throwing it into drive. So it goes, and like you get a little bit of smoke and you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that and like thinking I was, top dog stupid shit.
Yeah, me too.
Because I've never driven a real car.
Yeah.
Or like when you throw it in reverse and your car goes back and then you slam it in a drive and then hit it.
Yeah.
And it goes,
I never done that.
Just stupid shit that you think is funny or cool as a kid. And I remember like racing this dude and like, so we're going on a straightaway and like so she's sitting in the front. Oh no, she was in the back. And then Kenny was in the front.
Right.
Oh no, he was in the back and she was in the front. She was in the front seat, he was in the back. And then she gets out and she was like, and it's like I think it was like a coupe. So she like leans the seat forward and she's like, you want to get up front? And he's like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. She's like, all right. So she shuts the door and closes the seat back. And so he puts on his seatbelt and I'm going and we start going and we're flying along. We probably hit like 80, which isn't that fast, but in a residential area, it's pretty fast. And there's cars on the side of the street and we're cruising and we go through a couple turns and then we hit this one turn that is like banking a little bit to the right, but there's a dip in the ground. That's like a rain ditch, And when you're going 80, you're going to get some fucking air. Like you're going to hit that thing.
Yeah.
And so I see that it's coming. So I go a little bit to the left because I know that my car is going to get some air and I know that his car is going to get some air and we're neck and neck, like driving.
Yeah.
And so like and it happens so fast that I really am not able to do enough. And so he hits it. We both hit it. Both of our cars fly in the air. He obviously didn't know what the fuck he was doing, or he wasn't able to counteract. His car flies in the air and hits mine while we're in the air.
Oh, right.
So it hits it, and then it comes together, and then he hits it, and then we kind of peel apart. We're lucky that we didn't hit any of these parked cars that are on either side of us. Oh, shit. So, like, maybe that's what he was doing. Maybe he was trying to not hit the parked cars. But he, dipped and flew into the air, caught, 3 inches of air or whatever, and hit my car. And completely the window that was the driver's seat window. So if Kenny, the dude that was with me, if he had been in the front seat, he would have gotten a face full of glass.
For real.
But luckily, I just got glass on my arm. I got like a little cut up on my arm, and he got a little cut up in the back seat because the back window went out too.
Right.
But like he could have gotten a face full of glass. So he got lucky. So and we were all talking about that later. Like, dude, we can't believe you didn't get up front because you didn't get fucked up then. Like, just the crazy shit.
But homegirl would have, if you didn't suggest.
If she did, same thing.
Do the freaking flag
Isn't
thing.
That weird?
Be stupid.
Yeah.
She could have gotten all beat up, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that
so
was.
Dented, yeah. So his thing was his tire, like his hubcap went flying, and then his whole left side of his car was fucked up, like with the mirror and everything, and then the whole right side of my car was fucked up because we smashed like that.
Right.
And then I just went home and I told them, I was like, let's just claim it as hit and runs. So we're like, let's just call our insurance and we'll just say that we both got hit and runs, so we don't have to tell our parents because we're 16.
Right.
So we're like, we don't want to. Let's just say that we were parked somewhere, someone hit our car and drove away.
Right.
So we're like smart enough to do that, and I think that's what we did. Yeah, I think we claimed it as a hit and run, and I think like 3 years later, once I'd moved out, I told my dad that it wasn't a hit and run. I told him I lied.
So they fixed it and everything?
Yeah, they fixed it with the fiberglass and everything because, if it's a hit and run, it's fully covered, then, yeah, they're going to cover it. So I think we just claimed it as hit and runs, our stupid shenanigans. But yeah, dude, that's so funny.
That's
like
crazy.
The stupid shit you do as a kid.
As a kid.
And have me thinking to do that now, like, why would I ever do that now? Like going 80 miles an hour, a kid could have been walking across the street.
Yeah.
A dog could have been a person, an old lady. We could have killed somebody easily. We easily could have killed somebody. So it's like the shit that you think of post. You're like, holy shit, we got away with some stuff.
Yeah, you're an idiot
Dumb.
When you're young. You're trying to be cool.
And you're living life and you're making stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I never got anybody pregnant. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wasn't even having sex as a kid. Like, well, that's another weird thing too. Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, if you were more a certain way than another way? Like, if you were more of a stoner?
I would have stayed in Arizona if
you had kids?
No, well, of course, if I had kids, but more like if I was banging a lot of chicks and shit, I probably would have stayed in Arizona. I'd be like, why the fuck I come out here? If I got all the shit I can eat over here,
So you came out here for pussy?
I mean, like, duh.
Yeah.
No, but if I was, what were we talking about?
Life. The fact that we were racing cars. We were being
stupid and young. Yeah, like if I didn't learn from all the mistakes I made back then, I would probably still be back there doing those same shit in a different way, in some way,
Yeah.
So like, there's a level of like getting those things, doing stupid things young, so that once you get older, you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that shit now. Like, it's crazy seeing a person that's 30 years old doing stupid shit like that, Like, what the fuck? Yeah. You can't be fucking racing in some neighborhood, dude. Like, you're gonna hurt somebody. Don't you have any common sense?
What's weird too? I was thinking, all right, so I went into 7th grade when I was 11 in public school. So I was homeschooled. I did one semester in 2nd grade in public school. Mm-hmm. Besides that, I was homeschooled up until 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And I did 7th and 8th, and then I redid 8th. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
I redid 8th grade, yeah. I did 8th grade twice, dude.
No way.
Yeah.
You failed?
And I chose to. No, I chose to because I wanted to be bigger for football. I was playing football. I had done 2 years of Pop Warner, and I was like, I want to be bigger or 3 years of Pop Warner, and I wanted to be bigger for football. So and then my first year.
Who told you that?
I did. I chose that. I was like, I told my parents, and they're like, we talked it out. It's crazy that my parents let me do that too.
Yeah, that was so
Ain't that some crazy shit?
Yeah.
But I smooth talked them because I was like, I can get more credits done. I can be, essentially I can get more free education. Like it's kind of cool. Like if you're able to choose that, it's kind of smart if you're able to take advantage of it because it's free classes. So you're able to get more classes. So I talked it in a way where I was like, all right, and I had gone into schooling process at a younger age. So I was actually getting back on track as far as my age group. So I graduated at 18. I turned 18 in September, graduated 18, and turned 19 post my graduate year. So I was in 12th grade as an 18-year-old. But I went into 7th grade as an 11-year-old.
Right.
Which usually there's a 5-year gap. So if you're in 7th grade, you're usually 12.
They let you do that though?
So I went into 7th grade younger because I tested so high. So because of my homeschooling, because we just pushed through all this curriculum, I was a grade above everybody else for my age group. So I went into 7th grade, did 7th and 8th as an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old. So I was younger than all the kids in all my classes. I was like the little whippersnapper. And so then coming into this other junior high, I was like, I'm a year younger than everybody. I was like, how about I redo 8th grade as my appropriate age? I'll be able to get more classes. I'll be able to come bigger for football because this is now my 4th year of football, but my 1st year of public football. So I did like 3 years of Pop Warner and then 1 year.
Oh, right, because you were doing
like
homeschool too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they put you on public school because your parents were like, dude, we can't teach you anymore. You fucking crazy now.
Well, my mom was
the choice?
Well, it's because our parents listened to us, or at least my mom did for sure. Like listened to us as far as what we wanted to do. Kind of like we were able to talk it out, which is interesting. That we're kids and they're able to like communicate and discuss with us what we wanted. But yeah, I'd seen my brother Neil and my brother Kyle go into public school at like high school age. And I knew that I wanted to get in there and like to be able to have social skills really. Cause I recognize that if you're only doing, homeschooled, and also I think that's the same year, or I don't know if Neil went in a year after or a year before, but essentially Neil and I were my middle brother. He was like, we're getting homeschooled at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that means like you essentially have a buddy that you're doing school with. And same thing with my oldest brother until he went into high school. We're all doing school together. Like you wake up, you go out and do stuff together. So you have a friend, But once you don't want to be the only person in homeschool, it's just you and your ma. And she's the only one teaching you. I mean, that's cool, I guess, but it's also like you gotta be able to be social. You gotta understand the social dynamic of interacting with people, engaging with people, communicating, which is weird because nowadays kids are so attached to their phones. Like they're kind of missing that anyways, or at least to some extent. Like they're kind of, I think you still get that as a kid.
It's hard to get off of the phone though, dude. Even I have trouble. Do you ever take like time off of the phone and all that? I mean, you're really good at not getting too addicted to it. Like you don't even know certain functions of your own phone.
The phone's never been a problem for me.
Telling you how to do certain things on your own phone, where I'm like, how do you not know you have this feature on your phone, you idiot?
Yeah, I used to get in trouble with that with my ex that we just broke up with. It's like she would say like, oh, you did something on Instagram, because sometimes she would be like the jealous type, especially when we first started dating. She'd be like, you did this and this and this, and I'd be like, I don't even know how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about. And then she would be like, boop, 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 and like touch the Instagram, whatever. I'd be like, oh, you can do that? That's cool. No, I don't know. It's just I don't know all the features.
You like some girls' photos and she fucking found out and you were like,
no.
Yeah, I know how to, because I like those photos. Those are nice photos.
Or it's like like erasing a message or erasing a history or something, erasing like I didn't even know how to access my own IM messages until she showed me. Like, cause I just never been on Instagram. I wasn't an Instagram user. This is in 2018. And then that's when she started
messages.
Instant message. IM,
or
IG, or your DM, direct message.
Right.
So I didn't even know how to access the DMs. These DMs. DM. So she was like, oh yeah, you do this, and like show me, and then she would be like, oh, you deleted a message or whatever, and I would be like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Her
or she would like claim, like oh, this girl hit you up or something, because when we had first started out, she was a little bit more jealous, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know how to do that. And then she would be like, oh yeah, it's this and this, and I'd be like, oh
yeah,
cool.
You're not very savvy with technology.
I am if I learn it. I mean, like I pick it up quickly, but I'm not. If it's something that interests me, then I'll learn everything about it. But like for social media, I've been off the social media. I've never been really into social media.
Yeah, social media.
I should. That's a lie. After I got off Facebook, once we moved here, remember when the computer was in the living room?
Yeah.
For the first year that we moved in here, like Facebook had a hold on me until I think parents got on it. I think once like it was like right around
aunts and uncles and grandmas.
You just saw everybody.
Nah.
Dude, it's the same. Out. Yeah, it's the same thing with anything I kind of enjoy. With like when I was a kid, I was playing Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, like back in the day, dude. And like when the first 108 or 100, I don't know, people are gonna get pissed at me. Pokemon advocates, no Pokemon people are watching this shit. But like
maybe,
who knows? But like I remember when the first whatever 100 and something came out, and it was cool. Because it was exclusive, and you're trying to like capture and collect all those cards, and then they came out with like 2 new booster packs, and you're like, okay, I'll try to collect those. That sounds cool. New characters, yay! And then they're like, here's 50,000 new characters, and you're like, fuck this. And then for me, I'm like, that's when I throw over the table, and then I go to Yu-Gi-Oh, and Yu-Gi-Oh's like, how about this new card game that's exclusive and only has this many characters, and then as soon as it starts catching on, they're like booster pack, all this new shit, TV show, and then I'm just like, I'm out. And that's kind of like has been my trend. Same thing with like MySpace and Facebook. Like there's a point,
a threshold. Once you get to it, you're like, I'm tapping out. I'm out of it.
Because I like the new. I like it to be engaging, and I don't want it to be.
That's the addicting part, though. Like if they make it really engaging, you're all over it. Like you're all over the TikTok game.
TikTok has been interesting, except for with this bullshit coronavirus going around, or this idea of this COVID-19.
What do you think about that?
Like, well, on stuff like TikTok or on these, like, there's so much disinformation. It's hard to tell.
Disinformation or misinformation?
Yeah, misinformation.
Disinformation.
So much disinformation. There's so much disinformation. I can't understand all this information. No, there's so much misinformation that I don't know.
It's not a news site.
Yeah,
it's an entertainment site.
That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, sometimes I get stressed.
You can't even trust Instagram or Facebook when it comes to news. Yeah, you shouldn't. Because
but why not? Because sometimes it's people posting real stuff. Sometimes it's people posting like the people from Wuhan or China that are like literally right there.
I guess you had it right last time or earlier when we were talking about take everything with a grain of sand.
Right.
Or salt. Sand.
Take it with some salt and some sand. Put it on some steak.
Yeah.
Make it salty.
It's hard to get informed now because so much content's getting out. Even the news stations sometimes get duped. We're like, oh, we thought that was real information, but it turns out it's fake information. Or sometimes I haven't even had news stations that are reputable news stations actually apologize for spreading propaganda. I don't think I've ever seen another episode. There's so much content going out that once they find out there's something that wasn't true, they just don't keep putting it on broadcasting it.
Yeah.
They just like move on to the next story and talk about that instead. It's hard. Like it's.
Well, I mean, it's this idea of looking for truth in anything, because unless you're seeing it or unless you're experiencing it yourself, you're really at
people's word for it.
You're at the disposal, or you're at the You're at the, what's that called?
I know what word you're looking for.
Disposal, not disposal. What's
Disposal. No, it's
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know. I
disposition of or whatever.
Disposition.
You're at the...
No, it's predisposed.
Yeah, you're predisposed. No, I don't know if that's right either. Fuck it. Yeah, you're essentially,
well, letting it's them, hard to discern really good information. You know what I mean? Because things are progressing as time goes by. So even though we do have misinformation at a certain point in the timeline, some people act on that misinformation and then make new information off of that is true. Like, remember when I was telling you about Alex Jones, right? Mm-hmm. Alex Jones got taken off of YouTube because he was putting out a lot of misinformation, which he should not be considered as a complete reputable news site. It should be taken as like, okay, too. He is putting this out. Is that correlating with any other news stations, and how much information do they have on that? And another reason I was telling you that he was taken off was because of the Sandy Hook elementary disaster. And he was spreading propaganda that it was a massacre. Yeah, you're right. He was spreading propaganda that it was all fake. It was all set up by the big state, the globalist or whatever he calls them.
Sure.
As like, hey, this is just taking away attention to more pressing issues in real news, And I think they linked that propaganda, that news, that article that he was referencing on that to Russia. Russia has been spreading a lot of misinformation. The sneaky thing about Russia, what they do is that they leak misinformation in a different country to the point where it gets so sensationalized that other countries pick it up too, that it's like a domino effect that leads up to America also spreading, getting to America, and also getting spread all over the place. And then by then it's been spread up by so many sites that you can't even trace it back to the original writer of that article. It's just like, a Russian scientist thought of this, or they did this test or whatever. Like, they're just names. You don't know them. Other people or the government doesn't know them. They're not in a list in some computer system. You look at them, look them up and be like, oh yeah, this guy's legit because of all these reasons. You gotta just put shit out there, especially now with the internet. You can just make a website and claim it to be this thing. If Google picks it up whenever you hit a keyword and you read it and you take it as truth and you act on that, you don't know 100% sure that that's fucking real shit. And on top of that, there is just crazy people out there that are just waiting for something crazy to go down for them to just pull out their gun and be like, all right, I'm gonna defend myself. This world's getting crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, like even some of the stuff that they're talking about as far as in China right now, they're like saying that they're burning their money.
Oh, they're burning their money?
Yeah.
How so? I saw
Why? Another thing on TikTok that was saying, and who knows? That's what I'm saying. Who knows if it's true? So like they're saying that for certain areas they're burning all the citizens' money and locking them indoors because they don't want the money to be, because people are using money and they don't want the money to be exchanged. Yeah, but what's weird is you can wash money. You as far as U.S. dollars. I don't know about other places, but because it's made of cotton, because it's made of cotton and the ink they use, you can wash money. You can actually wash money right now. It won't tear. You put money underneath water and scrub it with soap, and it'll be fine. Isn't that weird? Like
I mean, our money, it's paper, right? Like,
but it's not paper. It's cotton. It's not wood. Right. It's cotton. So it's like it's made of a fiber that is washable, like your clothes.
Right.
So that's interesting. So as far as American money, I don't know about foreign money.
But I don't know if they know how to actually like bleach the fucking virus to get away.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah.
But we don't even know if they actually are burning money. You know what I mean? It could be the thing.
Yeah. You know what's weird though is, like, I always feel like what we see and what's going on is a little bit different. Meaning like, I kind of feel like the government or whoever's really in charge is always doing like this little rabbit hat trick where, they're showing us one thing, but really something else is going on. One thing I've noticed that I don't know if a lot of other people have noticed, and it's like, I didn't vote on this, and I don't even know who gets a say in it, but the little towers, those little strips for 5G, or the little towers for your phones, are going up everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting better signal everywhere that there are than any.
Fuck that, dude. I don't agree with that. I don't like that. I don't like it. I'm saying it now, and watch. You're going to see something's going to happen with those towers, because so you see them everywhere now, and not just like they're putting up solo towers, but also everywhere not everywhere, many places where there is a electrical grid, like where the electrical power is shooting off or branching off, you'll see them on the little towers or on the little grids. So obviously there's electricity flowing, and they put them there because the electricity doesn't have to flow very far from the grid. It's just coming right out and right into these things. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. Like, I don't know. Like one part of me thinks, what if it's a way to power something like robots?
Yeah.
It's a far-fetched kind of idea because I don't really have anything to back it up. But it's like you can remotely charge stuff with waves of energy. And we were already able to show that, like when you get a phone call, it's able to send out enough energy to disrupt your molecular structure. It's able to create fire around a ring of, what's it called? That, like not cotton, but like steel wool will catch on fire from your phone. They have a measurement. I don't know if it's a Gauss reader, but it's a certain reader that can measure the amount of like electromagnetic frequency or something that's coming from the phone. And when you get a call, it's higher, but even when you're on Bluetooth, it's still high. And so I know that, or I don't know, but I believe that the energy that's coming off these towers are really high. 5G. I mean, it's definitely higher than what they've been. And so I don't know how that's going to affect our bodies necessarily, but I wonder if, what if they have a bunch of robots or drones that they're going to roll out, and wouldn't that be so convenient for them to, when they're flying by these towers, that's how they charge up? And what if because they're at that height, what if they're so focused, those towers are, because you didn't see those towers like they are now before like 2018. Like 2 years ago, there was only a couple of them. They had some that would look like fake trees, and they had them out there.
Yeah, but what's up with that? Those are so fake. Like, what the fuck
were they thinking? Yeah, the fake trees, and they're green, and like, so that's what I'm like. There's like, they really didn't have a lot of them, but now they're everywhere. So I'm wondering, like, like what if they're sending out a particular wavelength of energy on a very specific like horizontal frequency, to where like if you like we're kind of below it, and they're not pointed down towards the ground, they're pointed out horizontally. So like, what if these drones that are flying at that height or something like that, maybe they get powered by it? They're just always able to fly around and get powered, and they got guns on them and mace, and they're spraying us and shooting us. Citizen, dude, return to your home.
That's
I don't know. I'm just
that's the crazy thing about that. You remember the first Incredibles? The movie,
maybe, yeah.
The Incredibles, where it's like the heroes. But the main villain is a kid that has all these gadgets.
Yeah.
And he plays all sorts of, I don't know if this
he wanted
is the
to be
movie.
Mr. Incredible, right?
Right. Basically, he put all this stuff all around. He made all these gadgets to make him look like he's a superhero, but he doesn't. So like, what kind of like going back to your idea is like they could be placing this stuff to then roll out something even bigger that uses those as right. Like already to use it as, I mean, I think mass surveillance is way bigger.
Well, it's like they gotta somehow be doing it for themselves. right? Because we didn't need this.
Well, like you gotta look at it as the economy too. Well, the economy, if you have more businesses connected faster, obviously the exchange would be much faster, which improves the productivity of the economy, right?
I don't know. I'm not an economist.
I mean, it's basics. Like if there are more gateways to go through to get something done, the slower the process takes, right? I think we were talking about this the other day. It's like the less walls people hit, more less obstacles that people reach, the faster things get done. So you want a city or an economy to function as quickly as possible, and if they can connect with each other with no drop signals because of bad weather or being in a tunnel, whatever the issues may be, eliminating more of those, it eliminates more delays. And delays can cost you millions of dollars, when it comes to the economy. So it's hard to distinguish if I think the mass surveillance is key right here, because I think you have a point in the sense that they can roll out a bunch of drones and take us all out, because I mean now all drones are being logged, and you gotta get a permit to fly them, you know. So that in itself, and I hear that the DJI drones, all of them already come with a pre-programmed map of approved and unapproved locations where you going to a place that the government designated as not approved, your drone won't even work. Exactly.
No way.
And it will.
So it's like a GPS denier or something, like a governor that will shut it down or not allow it to fly in a certain area.
Yeah, not That's only cool. that, but it also calls the authorities.
What?
The police show up where your location is. Yeah.
No way.
Right?
There's got to be a way to hack through that.
I mean if
obviously
you're a hacker,
Neil built his own drone, so.
Yeah, you can work around that. I mean, by building your own drone, but the quality of the drone that DJI's versus the quality of the drone.
What's a DJI?
The DJI is the model.
Disc Jockey International.
I don't know, drone something. I don't know the actual name of
Drones
DJI,
jacking
but
Indians.
It's like the number one drone you want to buy if you want to buy a good drone. Yeah. It's like it's made in China. That's another thing, that China's rolling out all these awesome products, and they have just found out on the news the other day that some phones, they found a few phones from like Huawei specifically.
Yeah, that's been the topic.
Yeah, they fucking hacked some.
That's why no one's allowed to have them over here.
Well, yeah, I mean they were smart about that, but what are they gonna do with the information though?
Yeah, like, that's why I'm not sure how accurate that is.
Taking pictures of your dick, or you like taking pictures of the sky, or whatever.
Yeah, who's gonna be like, Mario likes eating nachos for breakfast?
Yeah,
let's record that and document it. Like, I guess if they have a strong enough AI or something, maybe they can take all this information and use it to kind of know generally how the population works. I don't know. It's kind of sketchy. It seems obtuse. It doesn't seem accurate enough. It doesn't seem.
Yeah, what are they gonna do with all that information? But then again, you look at Instagram, Facebook, all these social medias, they are recording, they are logging your information and selling it to advertisers so they can broadcast more accurate advertisements for you, so you could spend more of your money.
Right.
And I see through that. Like, sometimes I scroll through Instagram and I find like some super dope, cool ass thing that I'm like, damn, I even like favorite and bookmark it. Like, that shit is dope, but don't go and buy it. Like, if I can't find it on Amazon, I don't buy it.
Yeah, right.
And that's a problem too, because Amazon now is monopolizing the whole industry because they're rolling out awesome deals,
Yeah. But at the same time, you can type in shit that you find on Amazon to like AliExpress or whatever those other sites
Alibaba and shit.
Alibaba, whatever. Yeah, and they're cheaper.
Yeah.
So you get, like, if you're smart about it, you can actually find cheaper shit than Amazon for sure. because
because
a lot of people,
dude.
yeah, of course it depends, but a lot of people are making money by drop shipping through Amazon. So they'll go to AliExpress or these other places from India, from China, and so they're going to the direct manufacturer themselves, the websites, and they're essentially selling it on Amazon's. Amazon's just the middleman, kind of, for the most part, and they'll take the products that people are selling, and so it just goes from Alibaba or AliExpress or Ali whatever to Amazon and then to wherever, and they don't even have to touch it. It's drop shipping. A lot of people make money that way. So it's like if you want to be a savvy buyer, then you go on Amazon or go on whatever website and find the product you want, and then you go look for it elsewhere. You go look on these cheaper websites and find the best deal.
Yeah, man, I even saw that and I was like, man, that's a good way to make some money on the side and build your way of marketing, you know?
You can make a whole life drop shipping.
Yeah.
That's what these kids are doing.
They're making some money out of it. And I told my mom about it because she's trying to make stuff to like sell and stuff. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You can go and buy stuff and then resell it and make money.
You don't even have to buy it. You don't even have to ever pay a penny. You're not buying it. You literally are just taking a picture. You can create a website and you're the middleman. You're the middle of the middleman. You're one of the middlemen. So you can take a picture. You can create a whole website and you just take pictures from Alibaba or Amazon or wherever you find the pictures and you just put it on your website and then you create your own price.
Well, I hear that I hear how they do it is that Alibaba sells these really cheap products in bulk, and how you do it is that you buy the bulk, then that gets sent to an Amazon warehouse, and from there you start making your own website on Amazon, and then they start rolling out some of the product, and then they even in the Amazon warehouse itself pull out individual pieces, package them, and send them out to the buyers without you ever even looking at the boxes and seeing if they're any good. I've even seen dudes pulling shit out of the trash, dude.
Who? What?
Dude, I was watching this Vice little documentary episode or I think it was Vice. They were saying that these guys that are making a couple $1,000 extra every month, going through warehouse dumpsters and finding big old pallets of single product items that are pretty good and then reselling them on Amazon, just going straight from the trash and picking out all the stuff that's still good, putting them in a pallet or something, and then sending it to the warehouse, the Amazon warehouse, and then reselling it from there. Where you're like, holy shit, these. The thing about that is, though, it takes up time. It takes up time to know which products are good, how long it takes to get that. You got to build it
up. Any business you have, you got to build up. Business. That's the tricky. So I think that's the important thing in life in general, and knowing yourself is you can do anything. You could become an engineer, you can become a sex slave, you can become a politician, a stripper, you can become the Joe Rogan, you can become the comedian, you can become a fighter, you can become an astronaut, you could become an international.
Okay. Whatever. Where are you going with this?
You can become whatever you want. So if you,
this is America.
This is America. Mm-hmm. Don't let me catch you slipping up. No, I'm just kidding. No, so it's like you can become whatever you want. So if you choose to do something like that, like drop shipping, you're investing your time into it. So it's like why? So I think the important thing is know yourself. Find out what you like to do. What makes you.
The thing is that you don't know. You don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
You don't know. You try. You don't know yourself? You ever done something and then later on find out that that's not the real thing you really want to do? Don't tell me you have.
Well, that's experimentation.
You haven't. I mean, yeah. So like the whole process of knowing yourself is to do things and then fail at it and then decide that this is not my thing.
Right.
And that's
what I'm saying. So I think
to claim you already know yourself, so you're like, oh, I know I gotta do this, and it'll be my perfect thing. You don't know that yet.
No, I mean, you gotta keep trying stuff. But I mean, I think as you progress through time, as you age, as you get older, as you evolve as an individual, you start doing stuff. And certain things you go back to. Whether you're a reader, whether you're a gamer, whether you're someone who plays sports, someone who drinks, someone, whatever. There's certain things that you go back to again and again and again because it's something that you like doing. And so I think identifying why you do the things you do, you can find the shiny moments, the moments that are bringing you extreme amounts of joy and pleasure that are healthy for you, and you can turn that into a lifestyle. So I think that's the part of knowing yourself. You, Mario, myself, we've been able to, now that we're older, we've had lots of moments and we've done lots of things. And so you have an idea of what you go back to, what you like to do. So investing your energy and time in that, I think, is important.
The thing is that some people like doing drugs during that time, and that's not good. And some people like fucking fucking off the whole time, and they shouldn't be doing that. There's a level of like, okay, is this benefiting me in the future, or is this detrimental to me only because, but it's only good because I feel good doing it. You know, that's the problem. You know, like to make these bold statements, these like, I guess
we all give
we're generalizing.
And we all take. We all take and we all give. This is a natural aspect of life, I think, which is that you're not always taking. So like when you're doing drugs, or when you're, indulging in sex, or when you're eating too much food, you're taking. So these are things that you're going back to. You're like, oh yeah, I like that. I like eating all the time. I like having sex all the time, whatever. And you might be like, well, these are things I go back to, and how do I make a career out of that? Well, those are things that you do for taking. If you're trying to figure out what you should do or what you want to do for life as far as like an occupation, I think you got to look to the things that you go back to when you're expressing yourself. So everybody expresses himself in different ways. I don't care if you're a drunk or if you're whatever, we all have different ways of expressing ourselves. So when you're a drunk, or when you're in your food habits or your sex habits or whatever, you're engaging, or at some point in time you will begin to express yourself. You might be someone who likes to talk. You might be someone who likes to write, someone who likes to draw, someone who likes to paint, someone who likes to play music. So that's the part. So if let's say like you're someone that gets drunk every night, and you're like, I don't express myself. I don't have any expression. But you get drunk every night and go to the bar and you talk to everybody around you. That's your expression. Your expression is not that you get drunk. Your expression is that you like to talk. So that's the shiny moment, the highlight of that darker moment, which is that you might be an orator. You might be a spokesperson. So tapping into that ability to be, you might be gregarious. You might be someone who likes to interact with other people. So tapping into that aspect, that's the good thing that you like to go back to. And it might be covered and shrouded and kind of blocked by a negative habit. But identifying the way in which you like to express yourself and focusing your energy on that, I think that brings you more healthy, positive joy. So you might be someone who gets fucked up and does meth or drops acid, but then when you do that, you like to paint, or you like to draw, or you like to write poetry, or you like to go talk in the mirror. That is your expression. That's what you got to tap into.
I get it. The thing is that it's not that clear. It isn't clear that even though you do this bad thing, you have good things built into it. Yeah. It's not always clear that
it's
because you
especially if you're in it too, you're gonna feel depressed or whatever.
Yeah, and like if you do heroin and then you make paintings, there's no way for people to know that those paintings are good. You know, what if you do heroin and then you make paintings, but those fucking paintings are bullshit and they don't look cool. People don't want to buy them, you know?
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about identifying your expression.
Well, I'm
if you identify that, then you can invest more time and energy.
Yeah.
I'm saying what you do, everybody throughout their life expresses themselves. So I think you can always find that expression. And when you find that expression, you can tap into
I agree 100% with that. I agree that you should find your calling. I 100% on that. The thing is, it's not clear. like the body or the mind.
But I think it is.
It's
I
not.
don't think it's clear in the sense of like everyone knows it off the bat. But I think if you are someone who can be aware, someone that can right now in this moment think back or think on what you do on a regular basis, there's some way in which you are expressing yourself on a regular basis. Even if you're someone who drinks or does, eats a lot or has a habit that might be seemingly negative or something that you know is a detriment for your health or for your lifestyle, there's something else that you're doing. I think it is for everybody, whether you're, whatever you do, however you spend your time, there is something that you're doing that is expressing yourself, and that's clear. It's clear because you can observe it mentally in this moment. You can think.
Okay, well, this is probably a better because you're kind of going back into the same argument of like just expressing yourself. How is it that you found the thing that you like to do and then you stuck with that? And how well has that paid off for you? Because sometimes you do like something like I like making this podcast. I feel like having conversation with people is one thing that I really like doing,
Right. Yeah.
But how do you know if that's something that is going to be fruitful in down the line? Like is it going to be something it's just going to be a hobby, or if it's going to turn into like a profit and you're going to be able to do this forever? And if that's what you want, how do you know that that's really what you want to do? What if down the line you're like, fuck, it takes so much work to do this shit. I don't really want to do it, but I'm so down the line in this that I don't just want to abandon it because now you have people working for you or whatever. So like what I'm trying to say, and I'm not to disregard anything what you said, because I do believe that you should do what expresses you, but at the same time, you gotta keep trying. You can't get caught up in that one thing. So for you, what is that one thing, and how is it that you know it so clear? How is it so clear to you?
I think it changes. I think it's always changing. So it's however you want to spend your time. But at the same time, it's like kind of like the war of art, which says you got to put in time. I think to answer one of those questions, I think whatever you spend consistent time on, you're going to get to where you want to be. So if you said, okay, is this going to be fruitful for me? I think whatever you spend consistent time on will become fruitful for you. So like right now, I'm working on my second album. First album, not fruitful for me. Second album, it'll be a little bit more fruitful for me because I know I've learned from some of my engagements or my mistakes or how I want to approach this album. So I know I'm going to make some money off of this album compared to my last album, some, more money. Same thing with my book. I might make some money with this book, but if I keep writing, if I keep making music, for sure I will make money. In the same way, for sure, if you keep doing podcasts, by podcast 1000, you will be making money at this. Guaranteed.
Well,
I guarantee
that's
because
a big statement.
I would say it's almost impossible not to, because if you have 1,000 podcasts on YouTube, you're within a certain percentile that a lot of people aren't. And so just having that much content alone, that much time of interaction, of engagement, even if you were just talking yourself, you're going to get noticed. That is going to begin to be something that's fruitful for you, I think. So I think that answers the question of how do you know it's going to be fruitful? You know it's going to be fruitful if you're willing to put in the time, if you're willing to put in the work. So I think that is that question, or that answer. At least that's how I would answer it. As far as how you know if it's you, I think, again, it goes back to that idea of how do you spend your free time? If you didn't have to worry about money at all, how would you spend your time? For me, if I didn't have to worry about money or paying my immediate bills, I'd be making music, I'd be writing, I'd be taking acting classes and acting in that order.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing with you, is that you chose like 5 things to be your thing.
Well, my thing is
you spread yourself thin instead of choosing one road and sticking to it. And I think that's the hardest part, is choosing one road and be like, hey,
I have chosen one road now.
eggs
In the past, basket. You're right. In the past, I didn't. but I have now. So my one road now is getting my music where it needs to be. So I'm establishing myself within the entertainment field within music specifically. I think the book will probably get me more recognition in general, like with the public, but specifically within the entertainment industry, music is how I want to establish myself, because that is what I'm drawn to most naturally for myself. But I love entertaining. I love engaging and trying to express myself in a certain way where I can pull emotion out of people, where I can but influence people in a way in which they feel something in the same way that I feel when I watch movies or when I listen to music. It's like we all have these moments where you're like wrapped up in something emotionally, or you really just appreciate and feel whatever this actor is doing or whatever this musician is performing. And that's what I want to do. I want to engage people in that way and express myself. So that for me is how I know that is my path, because I keep going back to music. When I'm not working, or after, I've had 15, 16 jobs, odd jobs and side jobs, bartending and Lyft and construction, all these, whatever. It's like in my spare time, I'm always doing music. I'm always going back to that. So I know that's me. And I think the writing part of it goes because I'm also a writer of music. So for me, writing music, writing movies, writing books, it's all writing. So
I don't know about that, dude. I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, like ever since a kid, I was writing poetry. I've always been writing poetry.
But the thing is that I know your philosophy. Your philosophy is deeply, deeply entrenched in physics. You are trying to rewrite physics in some weird way where you're not just writing. You're trying to prove certain things about reality to be a certain type of way where you're not just making fiction. You're not just writing cool stories with cool characters and stuff. You're not writing The Lord of the Rings. You're writing physics. You're writing like science. Where if you
there's
write
gonna be
poetry,
different writing styles.
Yeah, if you write poetry, you're not artistic. You're being specific when you write about physics and science and
but that's what I'm saying, writing
dimensions work. Or can you give us for the audience a little clip of little trailer about your whole scientific belief, because that's where I feel like you are not.
But to finish up the thought on writing is that it's all related. So like poetry, obviously way different from physics writing or writing about, scientific writing. Poetry is different, but it's still writing. And I've written scripts before. Like I've written, a full-length feature script, and I've written a bunch of shorts. So that's different from poetry, and that's very different from science writing, scientific, research and writing. And then I'm also a music writer. I've written 36 songs now, as far as lyrics for music. So it's similar to poetry, but it's also different. So I like writing. That's why I'm saying, as far as the genre goes, I like writing. But for me, all music, writing, and acting, they all fit in a similar category, which is entertainment. So that's what I realized my draw is. But
that's another issue with you that I have, is that you keep lumping all those categories under the entertainment industry meanwhile, you try, like, your philosophy, this book you're writing is about science, where that's not entertainment. That is about real things that it's the fabric of how we interact, the fabric of consciousness and reality itself, where you're not just being poetic, you're being real. You're trying to instill this, like, hey, type of story where I know how this is all put together, rather than I know the culture we live in and all these inconsistencies or whatever it is. You're not talking about those things. You're not being poetic. You're being accurate, like I just said.
How do you know? You haven't read it yet.
I mean,
I am being poetic. If you read it, you'll see it's poetic.
So you don't want people to take it seriously. You want people to take it as like...
take it very seriously. But even at the beginning, I write that this book is for men of the mountain and women of the sea, which is a esoteric statement in itself, a Kabbalic statement, which is that, I think there's two energies that make up our reality. One is something that's physical, something that's real, something that's tangible. And if you take it to the ultimate extent or the ultimate analogy, it's something that is non-constituent, meaning that that has no parts inside of it. So we're made up of something that has no parts inside of it. It is completely and utterly whole and undividable. It has no space in it. And then on the other spectrum, we are pure void or pure possibility. So you have that which is and that which is not. And so I think those two aspects make up all of reality. And so when it comes to what was the first part that led into this conversation? As far as
you think of yourself as some type of artist.
Oh yeah,
I don't think you're an artist.
So when writing the book, I kind of like how I talked at the beginning, where it's like I try to let my flow, or I try to let my energy flow between this masculine and this feminine energy. More appropriately, for me, masculinity and femininity are aspects of two higher categorical ways of expressing yourself. So those are subcategorical. The higher ones are what I would call, I've made up terms for them. I call it the omega and the latero. Omega being that pure void, pure space. It is absolute vacuum. And for me, that is also similar to the term possibility. So it's pure possibility. And that is where feminine energy lies. And then the other side is absolute actuality. So it's impossibility, meaning that it already exists as is. It can't become anything else because it is 100% pure substance. So you have that which is absolute substance and that which is absolute non-substance. And under those categories, you have the subcategories of feminism or feminine energy and masculine energy. But that being said, when I'm writing the book, I'm writing the book in both of those ways. The scientific way, and for me, religion is not very much, I would say in certain ways, a feminine way of viewing reality, whereas science is a masculine way of viewing reality.
Wait, what was the feminine?
Feminine way is spatial, or what's possible, possibility.
So no. In contrast to science, what is it? You said
science
male.
is a masculine way of viewing reality, and religion is a feminine way.
Oh.
So, in that way, I approach the book when I speak in like poetic terms, or in analogies or allegories, or euphemisms, or metaphors or similes. That is this what is it called? What was the term I just said? Omega energy, or feminine energy. This spatial possible energy, because it's mysterious. It's not something concrete. It's not something solid. It's not something that you can directly understand or comprehend. There's mystery to it. There's room, there's space open for interpretation in what I'm trying to say. And then I also in the book am giving equations, I'm giving specific data and plotting, information in graphs and showing pictures. This is the scientific side. This is the masculine side. This is what I call the latero side, which is the actual substance of what reality is. So I give both. So when I am writing, I'm writing in this way in which I am trying to convey the ideas in a very poetic, romantic, religious, spiritual, esoteric type of portrayal of the data or the information that I'm trying to express. And then I'm also trying to express it in very much a reported way, or a scientific process where I'm just giving the data, giving the information, giving the equation, this plus this equals this, and this is exactly why. Follow this exact route. So I'm not leaving anybody out. My goal is to take everybody with me, not as like in a real way, but I mean in the idea as far as following this information through the book. I'm trying to lose as little people as possible. I'm trying to be able to have the poet and the scientific individual read it side by side and both be able to get to the truth or get to my understanding of the truth or my awareness of what the truth could be or this idea, not the truth, but the truth of the book kind of thing.
Yeah, so, at least you know that this. I mean, we had a conversation about this the other day where we were, or I brought up the idea that you're basing a lot of your information off of other people's scientific discoveries, which haven't,
really?
Huh?
That's not true.
Yeah, what? You said
I'm basing my information off of other people's scientific discovery.
Yeah,
not at all. Most of my information comes from my own observation.
That's even harder than for people to jump on your board.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm walking people through it. If anything, I'm changing other people's observation. I'm changing the information. Like Einstein's equation, I'm rewriting that so that it's a more accurate.
But you use that to rewrite it, though.
No, I deciphered it and understood it appropriately, and now I'm describing it the more full equation that it actually needs to be represented as.
But people can't understand it unless you give the Einstein equation first.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people don't even understand that Einstein equation, they're not going to follow you after that. They're not going to be on that wavelength. You're not going to get.
I mean, I'm including other people's. Yeah, I am including other people's information in the book.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I'm not. That is not where I'm getting my ideas from. I'm using those ideas either as support for my ideas, or I'm using those ideas to show where they're wrong or where they can be improved upon. So the way that you made it sound like I'm getting the source material or the ideas for this book from other people. No, I'm using other people's ideas as support or as ways of.
Well, that's the way in which scientists discover new things. They use a reference from other already verifiable sources to prove their idea to be true. I mean,
well, they build upon it. They don't use their ideas to like prove them right. They're usually challenging ideas, if anything. Usually to branch off into a new scientific understanding, you're usually challenging the previous idea.
No, engineering is all based of mathematics, which is an idea in which how
engineering,
numbers,
that's very one specific field of science where but that's not what I'm talking about. This is not engineering.
I know. Well, that's what makes it even harder for people to follow, because you are making new claims about reality, which people already have a hard time grasping reality, and you're telling them that there's this specific story in which you can follow it that leads up to all these discoveries. Where in the reference in which I take information is that they made studies, they find these conclusions, somebody collects all these conclusions down, makes a story out of it, and that's how we become humans. That's how you get the process of evolution. That's how you get the process of how we know how physics and thermodynamics and all these things work. And there's a lot of inconsistencies in that. Like the biggest example is rocket ships. The biggest dilemma about making rocket ships and sending things to space is that you need a rocket ship that's heavy that can carry a lot of fuel, but the heavier it gets, the more fuel it needs to send it higher. So like you gotta find a good weight and fuel ratio for getting a rocket up into space. So they use mathematical real equations that have been proven that show how mass operates in different temperatures and different pressures and all this stuff, where I am too stupid. I don't know anything about it. But you claim to believe that you know for sure these things are true, which you're putting into your book, right? And a lot of these claims you're claiming are unverifiable. They're
very verifiable.
They're not. You can't prove
what makes you
that
think
they're...
that? What makes you believe that? What claims have I said that you think are unverifiable? And I'll verify them now for you.
You can't. You can't show me the first dimension.
No, because that is the purpose of the first dimension.
Right. So how can I ever know that is even true? Like the beginning of the whole concept.
You can't, because that aspect is unknowable. That's by its own definition. So that's not something that I've claimed as verifiable.
I don't expect you to verify it, but off of that
Name something
alone,
else. You're saying that there's things in my book that I'm saying that are like that are unverifiable.
You also claim that we could discover anti-gravity devices by your own theory, and I was like, you kidding me, bro?
I never said that it was possible. I said that it's possible. I didn't say we're going to.
You think it might be possible to discover anti-gravity devices with your theory?
Not discover, but someone might be able to
produce.
Yeah, someone might be able to create. I mean, I have...
How?
Because with this hypothesis or with this theory, it properly explains how gravity works. So now that science will know how gravity actually works from a mathematical standpoint,
and you're not even a mathematician. That's another one. It's like, how can you prove something you've never studied yourself?
Observation. How can you prove you're wearing this shirt right now? Because you're wearing it. I can prove these things because
you don't know the language of mathematics and how they use it, though.
I've been taking math all my life, and I've been studying calculus, and I've made up my own math, so I know math.
Yeah, you made up your own math. That's the only way you could have proved it, probably. It's like, this number, this means this now, and that's all it is. It's 47.
It's symbology, man. Math is a symbolic way of understanding our environment.
Well, you're oversimplifying that, though. Don't you think you're oversimplifying it? You're making it out like your whole theory, really. Like you're oversimplifying the concept of reality. Like you can break it down to these 15 chapters you have of like the progression of the first, second, third, or whatever dimensions you have. Because out of all the stuff you told me, like, I can't prove any of this stuff. You can't prove it either. You know, like, we won't know.
Certain things you will be able to. Like, when you follow the chain of thought, that chain of thought leads you to this understanding of reality. So look, for an example, is you can't prove anything ever. That's truth. Which is that if you say, oh, I'm holding this cup, prove it. You say, oh, I see you holding that cup. You don't see this. You just see light coming into your eyes. I'm not holding this cup. If you were to zoom in on my hand right now with a magnifying glass, you would see a bunch of energy just swirling around it. You would not see any of that energy touching. Your awareness of what reality is based all upon your observations. Even from a scientific standpoint, nothing is provable. It's provable to the extent that you agree to the information that is being provided to you. So yes, we all agree on certain aspects of reality, shared reality. But as far as proof goes, that proof is it's up to each individual to decide how that proof is going to be received and how they're going to interact with that information. So if I explain this theory in an appropriate way to where I lead you to each piece of information in the same way that science says, hey, I have this symbol that looks like this, and when you see that represents one object. That one doesn't mean anything. It only means something if you give it meaning. So that's what math is. Well, so
that's the whole process of language, though.
So that's what this is. This book is a new language for humanity. It's essentially me going through the process of saying, hey, I have certain symbols here that represent certain things. None of it is the truth in the sense that none of this is the truth. None of this can be properly
That's dangerous, though. You know why that's dangerous?
Why?
Because now if you start spraying that propaganda, and teachers can't teach because they think that you're right, you know?
Why can't they teach?
Because they gotta prove that they're holding a ruler and this ruler measures to 12, and that's true. But then you tell other kids or anyone that believes you and tell them that nothing is true. You can't verifiably prove that it's true just because you're seeing it. It's not true, because if you zoom in, you start seeing that it's actually millions of years, or it's infinite from 1 to 0. You missed
the whole purpose of that conversation. You missed the whole purpose. The whole purpose of that conversation, or what I just said, was not to say don't believe in anything. That's not the purpose of that. The purpose of what I'm saying is to recognize the flow of information, recognize the flow of truth. So when you agree with science, when you agree with the scientific process, when you agree with that we're both holding this cup, it's because you are observing this with your eyes, and you trust your observations, and you trust the way in which truth is being presented to you. And that's what I'm doing with this book. I'm giving you a new way of seeing something. So I'm not saying don't believe in anything. I'm saying believe in this, but also believe in my thing, because I can show it to you in a certain way. So in the same way that when...
But also believe in my stuff, because my Kool-Aid's good too.
Exactly, dude. That's right. So when science is detailing how electrons and protons and neutrons work, we can't see any of that with our naked eye, and we can't appropriately see any of that with an electron microscope or a microscope. We can see it in regards to certain aspects, in the same way like we essentially are interacting with energy in various ways. So I can't see, the smell of something, but I can smell it. Meaning we have different senses to interact with different aspects of energy. So when we look at an atom, or when we look inside of an atom, we can't see it with our eye. We can see it with a tool.
Well, that's the dilemma about science, though. Right now, science hasn't developed something that can clearly see or observe or measure an atom. We are not at the stage of development of producing products that can accurately measure that, but we have a really good understanding on how that process works. We don't need to learn the molecular level on how everything connects to know how consciousness work and how people work, and people are constantly deceiving and irrational, and all these different things that even your theory could probably not explain.
But I'm saying my whole thing is that you're discrediting my theory because you're saying it's not true or it's not provable. And what I'm saying is that that's not a valid reason to discredit something, because what's important to believe in something is your observation and understanding. Does it make sense? Does it feel right? Meaning, like, is it observably correct to you, and does it feel right? In the same way that you can't look at an atom and know for sure what it's made of right now. We don't have the tools for that. But when we are firing energy into an atom and receiving information back, and we're able to observe that information and approximate what we think is going on, well, then that's an appropriate way of understanding what's going on in an atom. Is it the most accurate? Maybe not yet. But in the same way, we can follow the data, follow the information towards truth. And that's what our substantial reality is. If we look at everything, it's that, which is that we don't know anything. So in that same way, I'm saying, hey, here's a series of pieces of symbols and information that you can follow, that I've discovered, I've observed personally, I've interacted with, and I've come to a belief of. If you also observe these things in my document or in my book, then this is what that leads to. This is where we live. This is how reality works according to that. If you don't agree with the way in which I'm describing the information, then obviously none of it's true for you. So it's like if I'm holding this glass and I say I'm holding this glass, and you say, no, you're not, then I'm not to you, because I'm not. But to me, I am. So in that way, truth is completely relative. If you agree upon the same
dangerous.
No, that is reality. That's what I'm saying.
Of course, I'm not
reality, I'm not describing my book. I'm saying this is how you are operating right now. It's not dangerous. It's how you live your life right now. You, Mario, have gone through schooling, you are sitting in this room right now because you believe you are. Because you believe a certain reality, and you're receiving information into your brain in a certain way. If you were on acid right now, you'd be looking at this room in a very different way and be having a very different experience. Why? Because that's how you are interacting with your environment in that way. Because your brain is
consciousness, though.
Sure, but I'm saying don't write off information because you don't understand it, or because you're not able to observe it in a certain way. If you're just writing it off because you don't understand it or because you're not observing it in a specific way, then you're not appreciating it for what it could be. If you are able to fully observe it and are able to understand it and don't agree with it, then that's a different thing. Then you can appropriately say, I don't agree with your theory. Your theory, I understand it completely, what you're trying to say, and I don't agree with it. And then you can give points, or, if you want to, why you don't agree with it. But to make an argument that what you're saying is invalid because it's not provable, I don't think that's an appropriate argument.
Yes, it is, though.
Because nothing is provable.
No, yes, there is. We can prove that you were holding that cup because we saw you.
Again, observation. Can you prove anything without observation?
Observation is the best sense of shared reality. Yeah, some dude just started building a house right now. It's like, fuck. These guys are having a podcast about reality. Yeah, I'm going to start building this house right now.
Your life begins with observation, yes?
It begins with me breathing.
Well, I mean, your reality is an observation.
Jesus Christ.
We live in the hood, yo.
Why? Like, I've never heard those sounds before. Or like consistently. Like, we had a helicopter and
we had a good 45 minutes of silence, for sure.
I guess. But you're oversimplifying it, though. You're oversimplifying. You're finding ways to twist it around to then prove you right. Don't you think you're using a bias?
All I'm saying is
because you're using only sight, to prove that things are right, and sight itself isn't even that accurate because there's just light bouncing off of things.
There you go.
The thing is that light is specific, where I think the big issue comes from is consciousness. It's our inherent bias towards a certain truths that actually took place. We sometimes play our own narratives in a more entertained fashion to discredit certain real events to then please our own beliefs. And that is where I feel a lot of the problem is coming from. A lot of the disconnection towards reality, not the ability to see things with the balancing of light. I think that is very true, and that's how we should observe things. And on top of that, even if we don't observe things with light bouncing off of it, we can design and produce products that can see through multiple rays of light that makes us aware of other things like radiation. Radiation, we can't see it. It happens to us and you slowly get cancer. Is radiation not real now because we can't see it? Of course it is, and being able to see things with light is super beneficial by the fact that you can see the effects by the occurrence of things happening, and vibrations. You keep using the reference that, particles are waves all the time unless they need to be particles.
What information would you need or do you need for something to be truthful or something to be factual for you? Because you're giving answers for why you think it could be wrong or why you can't agree with it. What would be a reason why you would agree with it? What gives you validity, or what gives you a surety that something is truthful for you? In practical in your real life right now.
What is true?
Yeah. How do you?
I know that we're in this room having this podcast with our mics in front of us recorded.
Why? But I'm saying why? Why is that truthful?
Because I'm seeing it. I'm observing it. I'm feeling it. I'm around it. I planned it. I did this.
It's because you can see something that makes that's
no.
For you.
I planned it too. I put these lights where they needed to be. I put these cups, these mics, everything. So because I created this.
So because you have some physical interaction, it feels more truthful or real for you.
Well, yeah. I mean, are we not really here? Answer me that. Are we really not really here?
Well, you both. How do you use? You are and are not.
How do you use what really is true? If you're gonna challenge me on my beliefs on how I know what factual things are, I know for a fact that we are right. We are here having a conversation. How do you not believe that? Do you not believe that?
No, I do believe that. I look at it at a more just a different perspective, which is you both are and are not here because of the way the energy moves.
It's not true though. That's not. Like, what true is true, and what's false is false, right? Like,
well, I mean, you're getting into more complicated subjects because energy is moving. So as energy is moving, it's.
But we're not asking about energy. We're asking about this event actually taking place.
Yeah, and this event is made of energy. That's all this is all energy.
But you don't asking see
where
energy.
Is energy? I'm looking at you right now. This is energy. You and I are energy. Material is energy. Do you know what energy is? Energy is matter. This is all energy.
No, it isn't.
What is energy?
Energy travels through matter. You know, right?
What is matter then?
Matter, it could be these wires. These wires, there's energy traveling through the wires that is making...
The black thing is matter?
And and what's this is not matter?
And what's that made of?
Wires, the specific metals.
And when you break that down, what's that made of?
Atoms.
What's that made of?
Oh, so you're going to go break everything down to the point where it is just that.
We're going back to the substrate.
Everything isn't the same thing at one point. And energy has different levels. Not all energy is made equal.
But I'm trying to get to categorical terms. We're talking about categorical. We're talking about the broader.
Categorical terms. Well, we speak in real terms, in terms of like things actually taking place, so that we can exchange information. Then that leads up to real truths and real events that actually took place, not energy.
Well, if you're looking for the cause of some effect, then you have to go backwards to where that effect has come from. You have to go to the greater and greater cause. So as you telescope backwards through causes, backwards, you're going to get to a higher and higher categorical description of your reality. So when you're talking about matter, yes, matter can be infinitely described and expressed. That's why we have so many different things. We have food, we have physical stuff, we have mics and lights, and you and me, we are all these complicated expressions and evolvements and involvements and conflation of matter. But there is a higher categorical awareness of all this matter, and that's called energy. So energy is the thing, however when you keep looking down or deeper into all the matter that is the complex aspects of what we are, we get to this thing called energy. And energy is simply just saying the movement of, well, for me, again, this is my theory, everything's light, or a type of source energy that when it is vibrating is electromagnetic frequency. We see it as different variants, expressions of electromagnetic frequency, different waves. And as they get compressed or as they expand, you get all the different aspects of life. So, but I'm using energy as a broad term to describe all matter. So when we're talking about the way in which we view reality, you said, okay, what's truth for you? You said truth is the fact that you can see stuff and that you set all this stuff up. So for you, it seems like you want a physical interaction. You want the ability to see it, the ability to interact with it with your own cognizance, which I can appreciate. That's kind of like how we all want. We all want to really be involved with our experience for it to be truthful. I mean, this goes back to like our whole TikTok thing, which is like there's so much misinformation out there. It's nice to be able to have some real experience with something, for it to be truthful. And I agree. That's why the reason or the way in which I construct this book, it's not something fantastical. It is something very practical. I walk the reader through step by step, doing exactly what we're doing now, which is saying, how do you observe your environment? How do you observe your day-to-day environment? What is matter made of? And when you take a look, a deeper look...
People don't ask that, though. People don't ask.
Yeah, but
how
I
matter
do. And that's not what we're talking about, whether or not people ask for it. We're talking about whether or not this idea could be valid.
Father,
and
if
so
it
I'm
could
hold
be
on.
true.
This is why we can go on to a different subject after this, but this is what started this, which is you discredited this book to be valid at all because you're saying that it's not true or you can't believe it. And I'm saying the reason why you seemingly are not agreeing with it is because now specifically you stated that it's not truthful and it can't be truthful. And I'm saying, well, what's true for you? You're saying
can't be provable.
Can't be provable. And I'm saying for you, what's provable is something objectable or objective, something that is, physically measurable. And I'm saying that is how I've constructed the book. So maybe it's because obviously you haven't read it because I haven't finished it. So once you've read it, then we'll have to come back and have a more in-depth conversation of what you think on it. But right now you're only contemplating the small aspect of what you've been privy to as far as how I've expressed it to you. So right now in your mind, you might be just taking all the ideas that I've given you or expressed to you, and you're trying to piece it together, and it doesn't make sense completely. There's not a full picture. So it seems untruthful in that way. But I'm saying that the way in which I've written it is very much objective. And that's why, going back to the one of the things we talked about earlier, which is I write it in two ways. I write it in a very scientific way, where I say, hey, this is matter. This is the way. That's why I'm doing a full history of physics, of how we've gotten to the point where we are now, where we've gone from our understanding of philosophy and our understanding of electricity to our understanding of molecular structure and how we've learned and how we've grown and why we're at the place we're at now. And then this book picks up from there and says, okay, now that we've gotten to this point, how can we also look at this information, the actual information, the objective reality that we all agree upon, and see it in a different way? And that's very much scientific. So that's why I'm saying it's something that is not discreditable just for the fact that you don't understand it or don't believe in it. It's scientific. It is literally objective.
Well, that's one truth you do have is that I haven't read it. You haven't finished it.
Yeah.
So like
we'll have to do a part 2 once it's done.
We'll need to.
Because we haven't even really talked about it yet either.
Yeah, you yourself probably haven't found the right words to describe exactly what the book is all about unless you write it all out. And then you find all the chapters and the progression.
I know how to describe what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm not picking it up good enough. But and it might just be me.
Well, you haven't asked me what that is.
What do you mean what that is?
What the book is about. You haven't asked me what the book is about yet. We've just been talking about whether or not the book could be truthful or whatever.
What is the book about?
The book is about you.
Okay, that was dumb.
It is.
That was fucking dumb. It better not be about me.
It's about you.
Fuck that.
It's about you.
I don't want you to make a book about me. You don't know me.
Mara, the book is about you, and it's about me, and it's about everybody.
That's gay, dude. Everybody.
It's about this chair. It's about this earth. It's about space.
Because you talk about dimensions. That was like my biggest thing with you.
The book is about being. It's about you as a being, and you might be defining yourself right now as Mario, and you might be defining yourself as a person, whatever your name is, as your skin color, as your race, as a male or a female. But in this book, I'll explain why that is not the real you. Because
it sounds like you're breaking everything down to energy. And I don't even know if you know energy well enough to state it as energy, because certain things don't have energy.
I break it down to something beyond energy.
And then energy appears.
I break it down to substantial reality. Substantial you. The thing.
Do you use thermodynamics? Because thermodynamics has a lot of holes in them. You can't do something too much, nor can you do something too little, because then it fucks something else down the line. Yeah. So like
I explain.
And another thing that I don't agree with you is that you're too confident about this. Too confident to the point where like, yeah, this guy does not know what the fuck he's talking about. Why
would confidence lead you to believe that something is not true? Doesn't that seem opposite of what?
Because you say some outlandish shit that you're like, we could possibly make anti-gravity devices. Okay, that's a big statement, dude. Like, you gotta like rein it in a little bit. Like, it's gonna be like, if you were more humble about certain things that could possibly be true off of your theory, then I'll probably be more on your game. But because you come out the gate as like, dude, we're gonna make some fucking, you're gonna get some trickle down. Like, I'm gonna make some bank out of this shit. Like, motherfucker, come on, be a little more human about this. If it is really true that you are making something, and I said this before, you're making something that's really gonna change the planet, then you're fucking Jesus, bro. No. You are the one that's gonna save us all. No. Why haven't you gotten this shit done and saved us already?
Because it's not up to anybody to save anybody. Because when you know yourself, when you understand who you are, when you come to a deep place of understanding who you are, you realize that the more you define yourself, the more you imprison yourself. So the more you're restricting yourself. Second, you don't need to save anything, because you're not in prison. You're not in some place that needs saving. You are in a place where you're expressing your infinite, undefinable being, and you are here for but a fleeting of a moment.
Hey, why are you trying to be all poetic right now?
I'm not. I'm just when I am talking about something that's divine like this, it's something that has to come out in that way. Because
this is cocky. That's cocky. It's not to cocky, say that.
It's truthful.
No,
there's a difference.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's cockiness.
No, cocky would be if I was arrogant about it and being like...
You are being a little arrogant about it.
What does arrogance mean for you then?
It means that you're claiming things that aren't verifiable so far and claiming them that they're true already. Where you haven't written the book, you haven't had any people, actually scientific, reputable people that have deep knowledge in physics and all these different areas say to you that, hey, we need to fucking put you in a
obviously
vase
we're talking about before this is
because you're a fucking genius.
Completion of book. But I mean, it is the truth. It is.
You can't say that. Like, sure, that itself is like, you shouldn't say that. What you should say is just wait. Just wait.
No,
let me finish
for me, that sounds arrogant. That sounds egotistical.
No. To say it's true, that's arrogant. No, it's like jumping the just wait. Like, knowing that talk is cheap is important. So that when you say just wait, or say anything else besides, dude, it's true.
Well, there's a thing that happens when you know yourself.
You don't know yourself. You're like 30 years old. You don't know what you're going to turn out to be in like another 30 years.
I do know myself. And so there's a thing that happens when
you imprisoned yourself though, right? Because the more you define yourself, the more you imprison yourself, right?
Okay.
So if you have defined yourself as to be the bearer of this incredible wisdom, then you have imprisoned yourself in that narrative, right?
No, because that narrative includes my...
Now it doesn't include you, though. Exactly. That is some fucking... That's some culty shit. You're going to make the next Scientology. Like the Scientology 2.0 right here.
No, but it will be a truth revolution. That's for sure.
That's what we have a lot of divides.
You interrupted me. So when you know yourself, when you know yourself, you come to this place where you see yourself in your deepest form. And there's a good line, or there's a good phrase in the Bible that Jesus used, which was, I am the truth, the way, and the life. I think that's what he said. And essentially, what's interesting about that is you can't say that unless you are the truth. And that only comes from knowing yourself. So I think there's a deeper allegory to Jesus of Nazareth's journey in his timeline, which is he's showing this journey that some individuals go through who become enlightened, become aware, and it's the process of coming to know yourself. And when you know your deepest aspect of who you are, you know that you are not you, Mario. I know that I am not this form that I am here. This is a temporal, physical form that is a manifestation, expression of my deepest form. And that deepest form is truth. It's reality. It is an undefinable, unimaginable, unknowable, infinite self that is you.
Are you trying to be woke on me, bro?
Well, I'm saying I'm trying to explain that coming to or expressing that this idea is truth can only come from someone, or can't not only
you're
come
Noah?
from...
You're Jesus?
No, again, I am an individual that knows themselves. So knowing myself, it's the interesting thing about it is it's kind of like Socrates, is that when you know yourself, you also know that you know nothing. You when you come to a realization that you know yourself, you know that you are a part of this process. Because I'm still here, because if I had reached the place where I really need to be, I wouldn't be here. I would be back in the pure aspect or presence that is my true being. But there's hold on, but there's two aspects that make up who you are, who I am, because we're the same being, but we're expressing ourselves. We're talking to ourselves right now. You and I are the same. All of this is just all one energy. But there is a twofold process. There is the one aspect that is you as a undefinable, unknowable, infinite being that is simply is, the isness. And then there is this, which is the process. It is the way. It is the journey. It is the expression of yourself. So in the expression, you are knowable. You are understandable. You are definable. And you are specific. But in your truest, deepest form, you're undefinable. You're unknowable. You're infinite. So for me, when I say I am the truth, or I know the truth, or I know who I am, I'm not saying anything more than I have come to an awareness of my deeper self. But I also simultaneously know that I'm still here and I'm still in this form. So I also know that I'm going through this process of expression. And that expression means I am not full yet, or I'm not whole in some aspect, whether it's physical or mental or spiritual. So I know that there is still separation between myself and myself. So I can recognize that. But I also know and believe in the deeper aspect, the deeper presence that is who I really am. And that's all based upon my observation, whether it's physical or mental or spiritual or otherwise.
Well, like, that's the thing. I mean, like, you hit a couple... Dude, we're at 2 hours, 52 minutes, brother.
Whoa.
We can end it there, because I think we're going to be running circles around each other. But...
all right, closing remarks. And then we'll bring it back.
I think, look, nothing... I don't like dissing on you. And it's not my intention. I do that a lot. You know that. I love you, dude. Like, I do. Like,
dude, we're going to be looking back at this point once I get my Nobel Prize. What? Well, the thing is, I don't...
That's cocky. lucky as fuck, dude.
Well, no, actually, when I think about it, I don't know if
my Nobel Prizes.
The hard part is you don't really get Nobel Prizes for theories. That's the hard part.
Yeah,
is
no shit.
You only get
good thing.
We only get like even Einstein shared a Nobel Prize for his photoelectric effect.
Yeah, he didn't even get the Nobel Prize for his E equals MC squared, which is the dopest dope.
Right. Which, it's like, that's what he's recognized for. Nobody remembers the photoelectric effect.
Yeah.
Or even cares about it, which
Did you know that he gave all that money to his wife?
Oh, really?
He didn't get anything?
Yeah.
Anyways, go back to what you were saying.
Well, it's interesting that the Nobel Prize, they only really give out awards, or seemingly, they only give out awards besides, like, they give out a Nobel Prize for poetry, which is kind of weird. But I guess even still, it's like for writing, yeah. But like they like concrete observation or data, like, or really not even data, an experiment. They want to see like an experiment that you've done. Yeah. Like they want to see a tool that you've created or something. Yeah. So it's like, if anything, I think from this information that I'll provide, other people will create things that will get them Nobel Prizes. like anti-gravity or positive gravity machines or devices that will create it'll be like different machines that use light essentially, or energy, which is, we'll create machines where we'll be able to remember this moment. I wonder if your phone's still recording. We'll be able to create machines where are they still on?
They might not be on.
We'll be able to create machines where we're able to create physical matter from light. We'll be able to compress light down into physical atoms, and we'll be able to create water, fuel, food, everything we need from light. As long as we have a light source, and eventually we might be able to pull energy from space itself, or from like from sources where there is no light.
Outrageous claims, bro.
Yeah. Well, the last one's an outrageous claim, but anyways,
all of them are.
No, the other ones are very much practical. But the space one, because I have no evidence for that. But the other ones I have evidence for. But anyways, that all was just talking about the Nobel Prize. No, I don't know if I'm going to win a Nobel Prize, but I think the book will do well, because I'm definitely gonna be hitting a broad audience of people that I think will respect it. But who knows?
A lot of people don't even follow science. Like there's a lot of.
But it's not just science. It's philosophical. It's self-help.
Oh, it's a self-help book? It's not even a scientific book.
It is scientific. It is self-help. It's everything. There's a theory of everything. Anything you can come to this book and you can figure out your life. You can figure out mechanical issues. You can figure out, this has the root of all the things you need to know. So if you're like, I wonder how to make my life better as far as my marriage, or as far as making more money, you can flip to the chapter on money and learn how to make more. Yes, it'll be a walkthrough for life.
Haven't you made a bunch of money already then? Couldn't you be? Oh, so you think you can make money off of writing this book?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be a multi-million. Like I plan to sell at least 100 million copies. So that's on the low end, I would say.
Dude, I hope the best for you. Again, I don't like dissing on you. I like you. I want the best for you. I hope it goes out as spectacular as you want, and all the best things. But if I were to look at it as skeptical as I am, I want more proof, more work off of it. And yeah, you haven't written it, so let's just wait for that. And then we could really go on to details on like, hey, could we get somebody on and be like, hey, can they debate you? And then you could possibly adjust a part of your book, or, throw something out or whatever. Yeah. But thanks for being on, bro.
Dude, cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Good podcast.
Good podcast, brother. Let me do it. Oh, well, I got it. No, I'll pour this one in so it looks right.
Yeah.
Good
cheers,
podcast,
dude.
brother. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think the GoPros ran out of battery.